How are you doing? It's 6:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. April 1st, 2026. This is Jerry Bugatti calling the meeting to order. We're at a different venue this month because our normal venue got flooded. And since we can do a roll call.
When I call your name, please respond. Zane,
Here.
Watson,
Here.
Bozel,
instead of fuel, repeatedly driving
Tagashi,
single gallon. But after refusing to sell his idea, he was mysteriously poisoned at just 24. His
Lee,
Number 2, Nikola Tesla dreamed of free wireless energy.
I think
Somebody
number
turn
Phil
to
the
Yeah.
has a program going on. There's a program going on.
okay,
There we go. It's muted now.
Here.
Okay. Fields. Okay. Lee, of course, here.
Poisoned.
Here, please, here.
Okay. Koff,
20th century American scientist and inventor claimed to have
okay. Chong. Okay. Sophia. Ellen. Patty. Guano. Thoughts?
Here.
Okay. Mashrecky. Carter. Ellen, is that you? Sophia? There's 8. There's no
You didn't
more.
call me.
Oh, and Christopher Moylan.
Here. What do you mean for?
No, we only have 8.
Oh, really? Yeah, maybe he checked me out already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to the discussion in a minute on the flooding, the storm issue. First, though, we're required to do the first responder monthly report. So, calling item number 2A, Honolulu Fire Department. Is thing from Honolulu Fire Department there? Oh, there seems to be Steve.
Honolulu Fire Department?
That's from Honolulu Fire Department for now. Going to Honolulu Police Department.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that one, the. Opening novel.
Hold on, this might be better. Honolulu Police Department, are you there?
Can you hear us?
Hello. Hi, sorry. Lieutenant Nakamura with the police department. These are stats from March as compared to the previous month. Motor vehicle thefts were 19 as compared to 12. Burglaries were 3 as compared to 1. Thefts were 12 as compared to 4. And UEMVs, which is theft from autos, was 4 compared to 0. This is out of a total of 5,697 calls for the district. Further information can be found at honolulupd.org. And our safety tip, I apologize, it's first of the month and I haven't had a chance to get it out to you folks yet, but it's just a reminder. Obviously we had the terrible rains, that came in a couple of stages, but if you remember, just before that first big weekend, we had a earthquake off of Antarctica, I believe, and there was a tsunami watch for that, but it was all ultimately canceled. But that earthquake was like seven something. If that hit, and then we got the rains, that would have been very catastrophic for us. Would have been worse than what it's been now. So it pays to really stay in contact and keep up with these watches and warnings. And then if you don't know if you're in an evacuation zone, please visit the emergency management website, and just you can put in your address and they can tell you if you're in what kind of evacuation zone you're in, and where the shelters are. So it's just a friendly reminder. And again, as soon as I can, I'll send these. I'll convert these to PDFs and I'll send it out to you folks.
All right, are there any questions or comments for HPD?
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, I'll go to Member Fox first and then Ellen Sofio.
They can't hear you. You have to move.
Passing the.
Yeah, forward.
That's all good. Well, maybe that's what we're supposed to push the table in, huh? Okay. I got a letter from one of our constituents regarding a problem in the Manoa Valley pertinent to these floods. And it's about the police department issuing citations appropriately. It turns out that we do have laws in the books about people cutting down trees and putting them adjacent to the stream, waiting for the high water in the stream to flood them down the slope to the ocean or whatever. I think it's insane, but people do that because they're cheap. What was bothering me was that he cited an issue where they called, say, okay, these people have trees in the adjacent, they went down the stream, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And the police department came out there and they said, and this sort of bothered me a great deal, well, we didn't see it happen, so we can't cite them. That's insane. I've worked with city government on the mainland for 34 years. That argument does not
Nothing. Where
hold
does this thing
any
go?
kind of weight whatsoever, and we need to do something with the police department regarding the Department of Permitting and Planning and our flood advisory commission, so that we can cite owners who do violate this stuff. We don't have the manpower to walk up and down the Manoa stream with police department. We do it voluntarily. But if a citizen cannot make that complaint, it's just like when you get a violent crime on the street, are you willing to be the victim? Yes. And then we are, and we can be in the report and things can happen. Can you please advise us as to what is the next method or the next pathway here so we can get citations for people who are abusing the Manoa stream? Because those big trees going into the bridge cause a huge amount of flooding.
Well, I'm not personally aware of that law, but if there's law in effect for that, I would think that it works just like any other law. So if you're the caller and you're a reporting person, you actually witness that person, say it's your neighbor or whatever, I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but if it's your neighbor or somebody that you know that you witness it, call the police, say you'll be a witness to this, and then if that's the case, I'm sure a report will be generated, if not a citation issued. So it works just like any other crime. So
I'm glad that you said that,
yeah.
Because that was my understanding of it. So
Yeah,
Scott
but if
Snyder tells me
a
that
lot of the
didn't
time
happen.
people do is they call in, but they don't talk to the police. They're not a witness. They're just calling it into 911 thinking that that's enough. But calling it into 911 and actually meeting the police and saying, hey, I saw my neighbor, Taro Nakamura, cut these trees down and throw them into the canal. That's a huge difference. And I'll say, yeah, I'll write a 252. I'll go to court. Can you please make a case for that? Then absolutely we'll generate a case. But if I call 911 and say, hey, I think my neighbor, and I don't list my neighbor, and I say, oh, but he lives at 1, 2, 3, 4, Mānoa. That's hard, difficult by as far as the law is concerned. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you. However, this is a serious issue in terms of $1 billion worth of flood damage on this island. If somebody calls into the police department, I would like us, if we could, have a directive from the commanders down to, if anybody calls in something, very few people know their neighbors anymore. They know what the address of the house is. They may have seen something happen, but we're not going to go over and you've always told us this, don't confront people, call us. And so I want to affirm that. But if they only have an address, I hope that the police, I don't hope, I expect the police department to go out there in person and take a citation or give a notice of violation pending. We've got to have some sort of a reckoning here so that we can get people on board. The city and county and the state are not doing anything about the Mānoa stream, nothing. You do no maintenance. The only people who do it are us volunteers. And that's asking a lot. Because most of us in the neighborhood board, well, at least me, I'm getting older. And schlepping down that stream is not easy at 73.
Paul, I need to.
Oh, yeah. All right.
So calling now, member Sophia, and then we'll go to member Moylan. Member Sophia, go ahead.
I changed my mind. I'm going to pass. Thank you, Chair.
And to follow up on what Member Fox said, I don't have the citizen's letter in front of me, but I recollect him citing that you're not supposed to have a bunch of water stuff in your yard where it could fall into the stream. And that he was suggesting that that's what a lot of people had done, which means no one's going to see it go into the stream. The rain comes down and what people have in their yard washes into the stream, causes the problem just as much as if they'd thrown it in. And so to say, well, we didn't see anyone do it, strikes me as a completely irrational response. It's the homeowner's responsibility to keep that stuff in their yard out of the stream. And so if there's a bunch of stuff in the stream right next to someone's yard, that should be an enforcement. That should be sufficient for enforcement. There should not be any requirement that you sit there in the middle of the night with binoculars watching logs wash out of someone's yard into the stream. I mean, it can't really be the case that you have to see it happen, can it? Is the citizen wrong about that?
Well, I mean, without doing more research, I can't tell you exactly. Is this a criminal offense? Is this a situation where it's some kind of like a fine imposed? That's going to be the critical question. If it's a criminal offense, then there's higher standards that usually apply to having somebody cited for that. If it's just a situation where it's a citation, I mean, it's a monetary fine or something to do with building codes. That's not really the purview of the police department. But in those instances, sometimes you can. Well, I don't want to speculate, but you could cite somebody. But the thing is, if you didn't see it, that makes it very difficult in court to say, yeah, that person is responsible for that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that's not a huge problem. It very well is a huge problem because the stream overflows. But to say the citation, well, I'm not trying to belittle the problem. I mean, I don't want to get argumentative here. So
Can we just forward that citizen's letter to the police department and ask them for a response at the next meeting? so that they'll actually have the facts they need.
Can we give you a little legal guidance here? Say, for instance, somebody calls fire in a theater and people rush out because they called fire in the theater. That would be a criminal offense, right? Particularly if somebody gets hurt. There's a liability associated with that. When we had a flood in 2006, the trees that blocked the Woodlawn Bridge, if we could figure out that they came from people's yards, etc., they would be liable for the flooding into the Hamilton Library. Do you understand this? So it's not a civil citation here. This is about liability. It's huge. And that raises to the, particularly if somebody gets harmed or hurt. Thank God this time we didn't get that. But I'm suggesting that this is not a minor infraction that we can just like throw off and say, oh, we'll get back to you later, because that's not going to happen. I'm going to follow up on this until the cows come home.
Yeah, definitely. If you feel that you need to send that letter to us, please send it to us, and I'll send it on upstairs and we'll get a response for you.
Yes, I'll give Anson my copy of the letter. I'll ask him to forward it to HPD's public relations people, and I'll just ask if HPD can have an update next month, just because I think we're going to be discussing the same topic again in May. So if you can come back to us with some answers from HPD or from the city attorneys to, tell us what's going on.
Sure. If they give me an answer, I will provide it for you.
Okay, great. And I see Ellen Sofio has her hand up, so calling on Ellen Sofio.
Well, thank you, Chair. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
I was having trouble joining the meeting for some reason.
Yes.
So yeah, since we're on this topic, I just wanted to bring up something that's been bothering me for quite some time now. And I think other people probably have thought of this too. So when you look up at the coalhouse, you can see how the large number of albizia trees that look like they're dead. And I have the impression that there's a program where they're shooting glyphosate bullets from helicopters. I don't know if those have been used on the albizia in Mānoa, or how they have been killed. But those trees, obviously are at risk, even greater risk now that they're dead, of coming down and getting it into the streams and causing massive problems because they're such big trees. So who is responsible for getting rid of those trees once they're dead? And I don't know the answer to any of these questions.
The Honolulu Police Department doesn't control or have any jurisdiction over trees. You'd have to see whether it's on state land, city land, and then go down that route and then ask the question to the appropriate agency. Much like a stream, for that matter.
Okay.
Mayor Fukumoto?
I'd like to ask, is Scott Snyder here? Scott, are you here?
Yes, I am. I am the
okay.
letter writer.
Right. So we'll get to you in a few minutes then. That'll give you a chance to explain your letter. Thank you.
I can clarify some of the points.
So as Elton said, we're going to get into the discussion on the flooding and the storm. That's going to include Scott Snyder's letter that he drafted for us. Before we get to that, does anyone have any non-flood, non-storm related questions for HPD before we cut HPD loose? Seeing and hearing none. Okay, thank you, Lieutenant. We'll see you again next month, and please do check in with either HPD or with the attorneys and tell us what they tell you about all that.
Sure. If you can, just please forward the letter and then I'll send it on upstairs.
Okay, we'll do that. So I called fire department earlier, but there were some audio issues, so they might not have heard me. Is Honolulu Fire Department there? Calling for Honolulu Fire Department. Okay, they usually show up in person, so they might just have rolled up to an empty Noelani school today. Okay, so we're done with our first responder reports. kicking out of order, going to Roman numeral number 5, community updates, item A, flooding in Manoa and on Oahu. So there was heavy rains last week. There was flooding in Manoa Marketplace. There was flooding in a lot of the woodland side of the valley. So this was written up about a week ago to basically be an open forum to discuss the flooding issues and the storms that caused the flooding. So I'm going to open up to pretty much everyone who wants to talk. First, though, because Scott Snyder contacted me ahead of time and said he wanted to present some things, I'm going to turn it over to Scott as our first speaker on this topic. So, Scott Snyder, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair Nagaji, and thank you to the Manoa Neighborhood Board. Can you folks hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Scott Snyder, and I'm a long-term Manoa resident living on Poelua Place behind the senior housing. My wife and I have lived in our home for 8 years, and the property's been in our family for 62 years. It gives us a long-term familiarity with the watershed conditions of this area. Manoa Stream runs directly through our property. We own property on both sides. I'm familiar with site access, erosion patterns, vegetation issues, and flood-related concerns. In addition, I organize and lead an annual invasive albizia sapling sweep of Manoa Stream in collaboration with the Ko'olau Mountain Watershed Partnership and Malama Manoa. Over the past 4 years, we've removed more than 3,000 albizia saplings from the stream. This work directly supports flood mitigation and stream health. It's fair to say I'm familiar with the stream and its reoccurring issues. On Monday, March 23rd, the storm was a large and unusual event, possibly a 20-year storm. In my opinion, flooding occurred because the rainfall intensity was sustained over a long period, with the storm system remaining stationary over the valley. That said, I have serious concerns about the city and county's management of the stream system. So I want to take a quick step back and talk about what you folks were talking about earlier. Basically, the stream is managed by the city and county. It's DFM, Department of Facilities Maintenance, and it used to be managed by back in 20 years ago, the Division of Road Maintenance. So there are now rules and statutes related to the stream, and if you have a problem or a complaint with the stream, you call DFM basically, and then they'll come out and take a look at it. So getting back to my letter that I wrote, I want to make my first point. Basically, there's 2 points to this. The first one relates to enforcement of the stream maintenance rules. And there are statutes in place that talk about that it's the landowner's responsibility to clean the stream and cut it and remove debris that's in the stream. Now, I don't agree with that. It's a ridiculous thing for a homeowner to have to do that. But that's the law, the way it's written. So during the flood, and during many floods, I witnessed large tree trunks floating down the stream that were pre-cut. And it appears to be tied to a practice where people place trees near the stream, saving money on hauling away rubbish. So this problem it's an enforcement issue. It's not engineering, and this practice falls under DFM. And I'd like to also note that DFM in the past has issued very strong enforcement letters where they'll fine you, they'll give you a time frame, they would walk the stream and fine these properties. And I have attached a letter to my statement that was issued in 2002. That's a perfect example of what we're not doing today, which we need to be doing today. It's there's 100 or more private landowners on Manoa Stream. The reason I know that is that I've written letters to many of them to talk about albizias. So I know there's a lot of people that own property in the stream. And then the case where my neighbor cut a tree into the stream and left it, I called DFM. I didn't call the police department. I called the Department of Facilities Maintenance. A couple of people came down. They took pictures. Then they told me they couldn't do anything because they didn't witness it. The problem was I accepted that and walked away. And I really regret that to this day. I should have gone up the ladder on that one, and I should have gone to the highest levels and had that situation remedied. The neighbor got away with it basically, and the next big storm, the logs washed away. So my request is that DFM proactively enforces existing rules by periodically walking the stream and citing clear violations. That's low-hanging fruit. They don't have to have a large crew to do that. It's easy to do. Anyone could do it. My second point, then this one covers a lot of different areas, and there's a lot of people on this call that believe this is important. It has to do with general stream maintenance. Streams need to be regularly maintained, including key tributaries. This is an area that gets overlooked quite often. There are tributaries that feed Mānoa and Palolo streams. DFM should also consider incorporating privately owned miles of stream. I know that's a big ask and it's a stretch, but they should be maintaining these streams. This channel functions as a major drainage system for the valley. Expecting 100 private landowners, many unfamiliar with stream regulations, to maintain their own stream is unrealistic. A lot of these homeowners never even look in their streams or even know what's back there. So this fragmented responsibility for a contiguous drainage system is fundamentally flawed. So in summary, this does not require new solutions. The city has the rules. What's needed is enforcement and maintenance. It's a system-level approach that reflects how these streams behave during major storm events. So I guess I want to thank you for letting me say this. This is important because my house wasn't flooded. The stream performed okay, but the houses across from me got their yards flooded and maybe their homes. So I was lucky because I sit pretty high up. But my question kind of to the board at this point is, what do I do with this letter? I mean, should we do a resolution? Should we just send it into DFM and put pressure on them? The last time I talked to them, they only said they had 5 or 6 maintenance workers for the whole island. Not kidding. That's what they said. So I've done this part, and I've done my part. And as advocates, we spend a lot of time working on these. But now what should I do with this information that I have? That's the question. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Scott. So opening up, I see there's other raised hands. So I'm gonna go in the order that I saw them in. Heath from Scott Nishimoto's office, please go ahead.
Well, Mr. Snyder, Heath Williams, Councilmember Scott Nishimoto's office. I'd appreciate you sending both Councilmember Nishimoto and myself the letter as well, and we can follow up from our end as well. I'm going to put my my email and also Councilmember Nishimoto's email into the chat.
Perfect. That's what I was going to ask.
Thanks.
I just put it in.
Going now, calling on Brett Kuroshige, who I saw next. Brett, please go ahead.
Hi, I thank you again for the input from Scott and for this forum. I was going to suggest that it might be good to gather more information before a resolution or any kind of a thing like that, because for example, that event occurred very quickly, and yet I don't know, I don't think we all know the full extent of what happened. I talked to a lot of people, and there's been a lot of flooding in areas that I wouldn't have heard about if I hadn't just randomly and by luck talked to them. But it might be good to maybe use this board as a forum to gather locations and descriptions of like where the flooding actually occurred, and like where the water came over the stream embankment, because I was surprised how many intersections, for example, were closed in the valley. I couldn't get home that day. I was coming home and we had to divert. We couldn't get to near the Chinese cemetery where we live because police were blocking intersection of Laurie and East Manoa, for example. But then there were multiple intersections that were closed, and that to me means there was flooding in different parts of the stream. But it would be good to have a map and just like, map out where these incidents occur, because it may spell out a much bigger problem, in which case that would be something the city would want, and maybe the state would want to action. But I think we need to help them gather that evidence, and this forum might be a good way of doing that. Okay, that's my 2 cents anyway. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Brett. And I saw Amy Grace. Please go ahead.
Amy, you're muted. Mute.
Okay, you're good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Everyone, thanks so much. It's been a really good discussion so far. My name is Grace. I'm a former Manoa Neighborhood Board member. I'm a Noelani parent now. So this hit very close to home. I was up in Manoa Valley, and then I was driving to pick up my daughter, and we were turned away as flooding was taking over the school, and we could see it in the parking lot. And to have your child in that position is a horrible, horrible feeling. So thank God they were all safe. But had this been 30 later, this could have been catastrophic. I think we all saw what happened at Noelani School. So I have a couple thoughts. I'm no stream expert at all, but I really feel like we need to do sort of a post-mortem analysis. What exactly happened? And I really appreciate Scott and others' comments about the logs and everything that clogs up the drains. But I think at the very least, low-hanging fruit, we need, like the Wahiawa Dam, some sort of warning system. We know that there's a tendency to flood. We have hundreds of keiki right downstream. How do we get a warning system that the levels are getting higher? We know that we need to protect the kids, and we need to tell everyone to leave. We had no sense other than a quick flash flood warning, which we've been getting for weeks. How do you know that that one is the worst one? So I think that's really important to understand what happened, and then to establish a warning system and make sure we're doing regular stream cleaning. I love the idea of regular walks, making sure there's enforcement powers, trying to revise laws if they are ridiculous, and if the city should have more jurisdiction over those parts of the stream. I also think some sort of UH study in consultation with various Native Hawaiian groups looking at sustainable options for stream maintenance and clearing is really important. So anyway, a lot of different ideas. I'm wondering about Scott's letter. I really appreciate that. I'm just wondering if it's worth thinking of, I'm sure we'll hear a lot of good ideas tonight, whether it's worth combining a lot of these ideas into one bigger letter so that it's a number of different solutions around overarching kind of emergency preparedness and stream management. So anyway, thank you for the time to speak. But on behalf of Noelani parents, this is of course extremely serious, not to mention Hokulani elementary students who were more severely impacted than we were. So I just want to make sure this is like the highest level of importance. Even sending my child to school now is nerve-wracking, right? You don't know that nothing has happened to tell me this won't happen again. So I think we also need to think about the sustainability of Noelani School. Is the cafeteria okay where it is? Is the parking lot okay where it is? The main office? Maybe those need to be moved to higher ground. So I think there's a lot we really have to think about that's really important, especially for the safety of our kids at Noelani School. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Amy Grace. So going in the order that I'm seeing people in, calling on Kelly Allen on Zoom.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
This is Kelly.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, they can hear you.
Yeah, Kelly just stepped out. I'm Kelly's dad, and I want to have address two issues. The Chinese graveyard. My daughter lives and abuts the Chinese graveyard, and they've been living in this house for 26 years, and neither the city nor the graveyard owners has come down and cleaned the drain that's in the cemetery's property. The water comes down from the cemetery and it gets clogged in there. So my son-in-law for the past 26 years, he's been cleaning the drain. And it would be nice if the city would come out and put a berm out there by the street, because then a low side and the water would gather and it almost entered their house. So, you know, and I know the Banyan Court, they want to build a care home up there. Now, if they build a care home up there and start putting asphalt out there, then it's going to be worse for the people on the lower side. That's one issue. The second issue, my other daughter lives by Mānoa Road, which is by St. Francis School. So when the river overflowed, it went into the cafeteria at Noilani, and then it right by her house, she has like a little channel, a ditch, which is about maybe about 2 feet wide. And so with all that volume of water coming down from the school, from state property, city county guys said, oh, we don't own the drain. It's owned by a private entity. But my understanding was May 2024 in May, the property was transferred over to the city. But the city and county workers said, oh, we don't own that. We own the only under the road. So that means the water comes from Noilani School, goes into private property, then it goes into the city and county under the road, then it comes out and it goes to private property. Then from there it goes to the state, goes to UH. So my question, if any of you city officials, who owns the road? I mean, who owns the ditch over there? Because they can't get anybody to come out and mitigate that water there, because her garage was about 2 feet high. And my son-in-law went over there to try and drain everything out. My daughter's car also got flooded. Here's a 25 BMW and the whole thing is trashed. And so, you know, the city has to step up and do something. Would this come under Roger Babcock's Division Environmental Service? Would he
Okay.
be at the meeting?
Sir, this is Heath with Councilmember Nishimoto's office. Can you email me the location and we can get down to the bottom with it? And we can get down to the bottom with it.
Right.
My
I mean,
my
they're
email's in the
right
chat.
next to
My email's in the chat.
I see, okay. We'll email you
Thanks.
and hopefully get the
Thanks.
city county to get out here. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking to see who.
Chair, point of order real quick. Can I, since a lot of people are on Zoom right now, and there was just an echo with Mr. Allen's mic. If once you're done speaking, if you could please mute your mic so that way we can avoid potential technical issues such as the echoing issue that we just had, we'd really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, members.
All right. Thank you, member.
So we're going to Glenn, then Michael C, then Laura Ruby. Glenn, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just want to talk about my bit of Manoa Stream. I live across from Manoa Gardens elderly housing. We are in a flood zone, a FEMA flood zone on the map, And during that rain on Monday, we almost got flooded. It was very close to getting flooded, but we were very lucky, and we didn't get um, stream the flooding coming from the stream. We did get some flooding from the rain because of the poor drainage, but yeah, the stream did not uh, did not flood our area, thankfully. Um, I'd like to request, which I've been doing for the past 7+ years, the city to dredge the stream, dredge Woodlawn Bridge, dredge the stream along Manoa Valley District Park, and dredge along Manoa Innovation Center behind the two houses, which had a lot of debris, like what Scott was talking about, and everybody else was talking about, all the tree debris, huge ones, really huge ones. And there's a little bit of an island behind those two houses that need to be dredged. I have not put in the request on 311 app, but I've put in 311 app request for dredging Woodlawn Bridge and the stormwater, the Manoa Valley District Park. I put all the details into those requests. If anyone wants to know what the request number is, one for Manoa Woodlawn Bridge is R2026-11546 for the Woodlawn Bridge, and the one for the park is R2026-11550. And I tried to put in as much detail as possible, which included some pictures. So I'm kind of hoping that the city will take ownership of it very soon, especially for the Woodlawn Bridge, because there are 9 logs that are just laying around that area right now. And I'm really concerned about the next big flush of water going down the stream.
So, sorry, Glenn. Thanks, but I gotta jump in for time just because we have to call on some other people here. But thanks for coming in. Going out to Michael C.
Hi, can you see and hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Michael Constantinidis. I'm sitting here with my spouse, Lynn, on my right, and my neighbor, Miss Nishimoto, on the left. We live on Amalio Drive, and our properties are located on Woodlawn Ditch, which I believe is probably, aside from Manoa Stream itself, probably the most significant drainage in the valley. And we have a historic issue with sewer backups on our properties. And whenever there are flash flood type rain events, we get sewer backup, and sewage comes up through the drains in our floor, in our showers, in our toilets, bathtubs, and flows inside our houses. So this is extremely problematic for us, as you might imagine. Heath, I see you're on the call, and we've met you and Councilperson Nishimoto. We're working with Department of Environmental Services and trying to get them information. We have, from this last event on March 23rd, finally we're able to document some very good video and image footage of sewer backups, geysers coming out of sewer main manhole covers, and sewage coming out of floor drains. So we're providing that to those bits of data to the Department of Environmental Services at the county. We've provided those data to Senator Fukunaga's office because they've expressed concern in our issue. I don't have a specific ask tonight, but I just wanted to report our situation. And we are that situation in and of itself is concerning. Basically, the ditch during this March 23rd rainfall event rose to a height that we've never seen before. It came almost close to overtopping and flooding our property from the ditch itself. So that's a concern, and it's the highest we've ever seen that. We've lived here 26 years. The Nishimotos, our neighbor here, their family have been on that property for over 80 years. And that was the biggest we've seen. So we're reaching maximum capacity in the ditch for runoff. We have demonstrable information showing that the sewage infrastructure is insufficient to handle storm flow. That doesn't frankly belong in the sewer system, but it's getting put in the sewer system either by people who are doing something illegal or by poor construction or a combination. I'm not sure which. So those two.
Sorry, Michael. You just have to ask you to wrap it up if you can, because we're running on time.
Yeah, I'm almost winding down here. I'll make it quick. So by itself, those are huge concerns. But the fact that the Manoa Banyan Court development proposed 2 blocks Mauka of us on Woodlawn Ditch, the same ditch that we're located on, is extremely concerning, because the amount of runoff in the ditch and the amount of sewage added to the sewage line is going to just make what is now a very big problem an absolute disaster for us. So thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate the time and the opportunity to speak to you.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Going now to Laura Ruby, then Wesley Oda, then Whitney Bosel. Go ahead, Laura.
Yes, can I share a very quick PowerPoint that we presented 2 days before the big flood? It'll just take.
How quick is it?
I'll do it within 2 minutes easily.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, how do I pull it in? It says share, and I do what? I pull. Do I pull the
PowerPoint? That's
PowerPoint into there?
Yeah.
I don't know. How did it do it?
Oh, click the share, and you see the multiple screens, and press the one that has your PowerPoint.
Yeah, I actually have it in a PDF. So, but I don't want to take up time. But where do I do it? It says optimize for text and pages, share. So I just do a share. I can drag it.
Laura, instead of putting it on screen, can you just read out loud to us what the PowerPoint says and just summarize what it says to us verbally? Okay, so it looks like Laura Ruby froze, so we'll come back to her later, but for now, I'm just going to move us to the next person. Wesley Oda, please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I represent Be Ready Manoa. We have a couple of folks on the call. I think all I want to add is the fact that, a lot of what we're talking about are symptoms of a larger problem that we've known for many, many years. And we keep talking about it over and over again that, we need to have better, focus on stream maintenance. And, with all of the issues that have been brought up tonight, we really need to press our legislators, to come up with some creative ideas of how we can somehow overcome the different challenges, okay, that everybody's talking about. And we keep talking about the same things over and over again, whether it's dredging the stream, enforcing, homeowners to, clear the trees around the stream, all of those things we keep talking about. And it happened back in 2004 and nothing's changed, so so obviously we haven't learned our lesson, when it happened before and it happened again. And I just feel like, we're going to talk about the same things over and over again, and it's going to happen again. And then we're going to be talking about the same things. So, we've all what we should do is, we should be working with our legislators and asking them to come up with some creative ideas on how we can really take action and do some maintenance of the stream, some regular maintenance of the stream on an ongoing basis, whether it's scheduled, inspections, whatever, but they just need to do something, and we need to stop talking about it, and we need to start taking some action so that we can really hopefully make a change in terms of how that stream is going to be maintained. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Mr. Oda. Going back to Laura Ruby, are you able to either share your PowerPoint or just read out loud what it says to us? You're muted. Laura, we can't hear you. You gotta unmute yourself. Oh. Okay. So, just moving on for now to Member Bosola. Member Bosola, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know whether anybody spoke to this before because I had a prior appointment, so I was late to the meeting, but there is something that we can all do, and that is plant more on your property. Depending on the slope of your site, it might not prevent water from impacting your own property, but it will help those who are downstream. The stormwater system, this is why there was that bill to try to limit the amount of impervious surface or tax people on it. The more that we add, and as people have spoken to here, every year both the weather is changing, but also the impact is getting worse because there's more and more impervious surface in Manoa year after year. So if you're considering adding a driveway, maybe consider using grass block pavers instead of asphalt. If you have an area where you could plant a hedge, a native hedge, mamaki, or local plumbago, something that is, has a dense root system, a small tree or a small hedge, do it. It will help you and it will help your neighbors. All of that, don't pipe water off of the edge of your property, have a pipe dumping it right onto the street corner, because all that's doing is putting the water for the next person down the road to deal with and overtaxing our stormwater systems. We can hope for larger pipes and a more adequate, solution from the city, but there is something that we can all do now, today, and that is reduce the amount of impervious surface on your property and try to mitigate it with roots and bioswales. There are ways to design this so that you can help your neighbors. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Member Bosola. So, going to anyone in person, Member Fox, go ahead.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Buttons, what's blue? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
now.
sorry. Okay, I'll start over. Somebody in this discussion said that they didn't have enough people in facilities and maintenance. If that's the case, and it could be, yes, no, you got me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Then we need to go to the city in terms of you need to hire more people for facilities and maintenance. We have many issues that facilities and maintenance is supposed to be taking care of, and clearly they're either understaffed or are not well organized. Let's put it kindly that way. However, I've noticed, because I've been in a restoration of Chinatown project, our departments don't communicate with each other. And I want to urge our council member to get involved in this. Parks and Recreation does not talk to facilities and maintenance. And guess what? We have a gigantic park in the middle of Manoa Valley. That's disturbing to me that Parks and Recreation will not talk with Laura Thielen, or Laura Thielen won't talk to them. That's nuts. So we need to get to the bottom of this thing. I think some of the suggestions here were stellar, i.e., the city has to go up that stream and cite every property owner who's got debris waiting to clog up the stream. I mean, that's number one. And if we have to hire an outside person temporarily to do that, I think that's a good expenditure of cash. Because actually you're not paying the workman's comp, it becomes far cheaper to outsource some things. But I think our directive right here, all of our comments, like the sewers and the berms, it's all facilities and maintenance. It's not parks and rec, it's facility and maintenance. And we need to see if we actually have adequate numbers of people in that department to do the work that we obviously need to have done. So I throw this to the council member, and I would love you to take on this journey and email me back with your results.
Was there anyone else in person who wanted to speak on?
Bring up a chair.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Sharon. I live in the Woodlawn Terrace area of Manoa. I have two tributaries that flow in my area. And I reported last month about a fallen tree from a out-of-state property owner. He has P2 preservation property. And I have the email, he refuses tree removal because he put in his email not interested in spending his money on tree removal. Well, I'm reporting this because after the March 23rd flooding event in Manoa, I now have a huge crater in my backyard because that fallen tree diverted water into my backyard. And it's a 50-foot long umbrella tree. And this guy is a wealthy out-of-state neighbor, P2 preservation property. And upon closer inspection of that fallen umbrella tree, I noticed that it had been maliciously burned at the base. And I filed a police report. I have photos and I have samples of the burned tree. Sometimes this could happen because they don't want to spend money to remove the tree. So burn it, it'll drop. It didn't fall naturally, and then it floats down the stream. Now, when this event happened on March 23rd, many of the trees from that preservation property were seen coming through, and the tributaries that flow into Manoa Stream. And after contacting numerous city and state offices, I was not successful in getting that fallen tree removed before the March 13th and March 20th flooding events. And then with all the rainwater, March 23rd did it. It diverted the water into my area where I have a huge hole now. This out-of-state neighbor also allowed his next door neighbor to clear almost 10,000 square feet of vegetation from his preservation property. And then a huge plastic sheeting was placed on the cleared vegetation area this past February. Well, that runoff from the plastic sheeting also created erosion on my property. I did contact DPP, didn't really get a clear answer from them. And the cleared property, the 10,000 square feet, had some elaborate bamboo fencing around the perimeter. That also fell during the heavy rainfall. One last thing to know, that this is a tern nesting area, so I'm interested that they could clear that much vegetation. And the final point is I would like to see P2 preservation property owners held accountable for removal of fallen trees which fall from their property onto their neighbor's property. And in this case, fell onto the stream and caused a huge hole in my backyard. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Is there anyone else in person?
All the tech. Hi, aloha everyone. My name is Tia Marie Namahana Masaniai Estrera. I am born and raised in the Waikiki, Ahapua'a, Manoa, specifically Punahou if we want to be technical. But I am here today because thankfully our home and the apartment that we live in was spared from the flooding. But with all of the recent events that have gone on across Oahu, across all of Hawaii, I think a lot of the topics that folks are naming in this room are a symptom of bigger root causes that are now affecting a higher population of people. And we saw that in Manoa. So just really briefly, given the known cases across Oahu where neglected waterways and unclear ownership have worsened flooding, and that I believe that the erosion of traditional watershed maintenance is a contributing root cause, what evidence is there that Manoa streams are being properly maintained today? Where are traditional systems of stream stewardship actually being upheld or integrated into modern day technologies for stream maintenance? And regardless of ownership, how is the state, city, county, whatever officials are here in their capacity as elected officials or people who took oaths, how are you guys upholding the fiduciary duty that you have to these waters as a public trust entity? Whether the water is flowing through public or private property, I'm sure you know the hot potato that happens, like Auntie was talking about with her tree, right? You call these guys, they tell you to call someone else. But where is the actual evidence? Where is the actual proof that things are actually being maintained? I'm curious to that. And I know that there's multiple entities and peoples that might have, I think I saw something in the comments that someone did a rainwater assessment with their team, a city official on here. But yeah, ultimately, you can't hot potato your way out of the fiduciary duty that elected officials and city and state members have to treating the water as a public trust resource. It is a resource that is meant to benefit not only all of the residents in Hawaii right now, but the future generations. And going back to the traditional maintenance of streams, that's how Hawaiians and people of Hawaii understand the importance of maintaining our water. Because it's not just for us, it's not just for our neighbors, but it's for our grandkids and 7 generations down. So I don't know if this is the appropriate channel to ask, but can the neighborhood board or any of the officials on this call provide that evidence in writing to my email that I can provide? Because I would like to see exactly where these things are happening and exactly where they aren't. And I do think that's a reasonable ask. And then also, can the board commit to requesting a formal investigation? Because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself that I'm sure in me asking for the evidence, there might be folks who are saying, well, we don't have it. So if that's the case, if we could get you folks to commit, and I don't think it'll happen tonight because I understand there are processes, but requesting a formal investigation with the Department of Facility Maintenance, with DLNR, with the Commission of Water Resource Management to assess if and how mismanagement contributed to the March 23rd flooding. I really like, the last thing I'll end on is I really liked what Brada Wayne Oda was saying. We all talking about the same stuff that has been happening. And when there's no action taken after the assessment, that's when more people get harmed. That's when more damage is caused. Auntie, there could have been a kupuna trying to come and knock on your door and tell you, hey, there's flooding going on out here, and that fallen tree could have killed them. And so when we're talking about this like safety of people and our Aina and our Vai, it's imperative that we actually take action that is in alignment with the stewardship of this land. So thank you, that's all.
All right, I saw a couple people online going to, I'll go to Kat Kaleho and then Heath. Kat, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Kat Kaleho, Kathy, from Be Ready Manoa. Thank you. I just want to say that I do have to leave already, but we established the storm closet, the Manoa hub, and it was just something immediate that we responded to the flood. We're able to provide the supplies and the equipment needed for the residents and deploy people to help clean up. And I think that it was just evidence that the community came together and was able to respond quickly and efficiently to get Manoa back on its feet and clean up. It was from One Love Ministry and Daniel Molina from Inside Outreach, Isaac from Hungry Hawaiian News. You're able to just spread the word out. And this is just evident that Manoa is strong and we can pull together and respond quickly to something like this. So if you haven't come over to visit, come by and visit. I would love to. We're still collecting donations. We're still in operation as we're continuing to support other hubs and the island. And even now, we're getting things ready to go to Molokai. We're forgetting about other people there. So on that note, I know we have all these things happening, and we can go through, all the negative things, but there's still something positive that's happening because of all this. So let's not forget that we need to take action, and we can do a great thing and provide solutions, and not just talk about it, but do something about it. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Heath Williams. I'm just letting you guys know I'm taking notes on all of this, and I will relay all of your concerns to Councilmember Nishimoto.
Sorry. I'd like everyone who had concerns to make sure that they leave their name and email with the chair so that we can be in contact with you, because it could be that we will be drafting some resolutions, because we are a board that is supposed to we're a board that reacts to what has happened in our neighborhood, and this flood was one of the big things that's happened in the past 20 years. So that's what we're here for. And Council Member Nishimoto's office is here. We have someone from the mayor's office. They're listening to everyone's concerns here. And this board would like to coordinate with the elected representatives and the members of the Manoa public who have these very serious concerns. I would also like to indicate that the Army Corps of Engineers has a plan that they're continuing to work on. It could have, if the plan were enacted, built, it could have prevented the water from moving down Woodlawn Drive. And so on the other hand, the problem with the current version that the Army Corps is working with is that it's too expensive. It's well over $1 billion. So it has certain problems. Nevertheless, there are solutions that people came up with, a better maintenance of the stream, more permeable surfaces, all sorts of really good solutions. And the idea that we could ask for some sort of investigation, I think is something that, I don't know, it seems to resonate with me. In any case, thank you.
Dave, can I speak? I finally got my mic fixed.
One moment. Yes, so Laura, we can go ahead, and after that, we'll I see just a few other people. Member Zane, Brett Kuroshige, Amy Grace, Noel G, and Ellen. So everyone who currently has their hand up, I'm going to call on them in the order that I saw them, and then we're going to probably close out this discussion item for this month. It'll probably come back again, maybe for further discussion. But for now, Laura, please go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I encourage Cyrus Howe is on the line, and we have he's with Green Growth, but it's also with the Alawai Watershed Collaboration. And we met 2 days before, on March 11th, before any of this flooding happened. And I did a PowerPoint at that time, and I gave, well, lots of reasons why the Army Corps is not our answer, by the way. But what I'll just summarize at the end, because we're Waina, and I know not as much Mauka as I would like to know, that you folks know. But basically, I suggested one of these things were low cost, high impact, very quick fixes. And one is berms around the schools that are 2 to 3 feet high, and simply deflect the water back into the streams or ditches wherever they're going. We had only, at the Waina end of things, we had only a moderate storm. In other words, it was up to your mid-calf level. It was not anything, and that dissipates in a few days and goes away. So not calling things detention basins, but rather berms that cause water to be deflected away from the schools was our most important thing. It's very quick to do. It's bulldozers and moving in some gravel and sod and so forth. But I would encourage all of you people to come to our next meeting at the Alawai Watershed Collaboration. Even though it's been put off for a number of months, I hope that Osiris can get to us and we can have another meeting as soon as possible, that all of you people can join forces too and get together with some positive things. We really need to move forward. We also have plans for the Waina and the canal too, but those are not the major problems. Your problems are the major problems. So thank you very much. Oh,
right,
Sarah said something in the chat, but I missed it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Laura. So again, going to Zane, then Kuroshige, then Grace, then Ruby, then Noel G, then Ellen, and then we're going to close out the discussion for this month. So Robert Zane, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give a shout out and thank you to Kaleho again for doing her work with organizing the food pantry out of her home and bringing some good news out of all the situation. So wanted to just highlight her work again, and I really appreciate her putting a community around over here in Manoa to help out those in need. Thank you.
Thanks, Member Zane. Going now to Brett Kuroshige, please go ahead. Oh, Brett Kuroshige, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
great. Go ahead.
real quick, I wanted to also mention, in addition to the rains, of course, we had the winds and the power outage as part of the Kona lows. So like where I live and my neighbors, immediate neighbors, we lost power on the 13th around, roughly 1 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon on Friday the 13th. And for 4 solid days, we were without power. And I understand there were other pockets of Manoa that had extended outages. And anyway, I wanted to bring that up also as part of the larger discussion, and maybe maybe an invite could be extended to Hawaiian Electric to participate in the May neighborhood board meeting. I thought 4 days was quite extensive because so as far as I know, we didn't suffer any transmission line issues or anything. And when the truck did arrive on the 4th day, it didn't take them very long before the power was restored. So anyway, just wanted to put that out as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Brett. Going now to Amy Grace.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. No, thanks so much. Just briefly, I just want to encourage Councilmember Nishimoto and the mayor's office, or I know we've been in touch with Rep Garrett as well. Anything we can do on the sooner side to get anything passed would really be critical and appreciated. I think on the order of even $1 million, 2 million, even 500,000, you could probably start to make a little dent in more positions, warning system, working with emergency preparedness. So I just want to encourage us to, I think it'll be good to write letters and do resolutions, but anybody who can pass anything soon, put the money in the budget, get it passed as soon as possible, please. I think that's going to be critical. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Amy Grace. Going out to Noel G.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm Noelle Grace. I'm actually Amy Grace's sister here. I just wanted to reiterate some of Amy's points. I don't know if it's been emphasized enough that I've heard really how scared we were for my niece who was at Noelani School. I mean, I think we've all seen the online videos of Noelani School getting flooded, and it could have been catastrophic, right? I mean, it could have been a horrible incident, and we're all so fortunate that it wasn't, and that's just by luck of how Noelani, I think, was built, how it was facing. The classrooms are luckily not affected by the flood water, right? I went to Noelani School. Amy did too. I was 12 years old when the last flood hit. 12 years old, right? It's been 22 years since then. And we haven't made too many improvements, I don't think. It's bordering, not, to say that any of us are necessarily involved with that, bordering, I think, on the word negligence, to not have a better warning system. I have 1-year-old twin girls here that I'm hoping to send to Noelani School when they're 3 or 4 or 5. And I've been talking to, I'm lucky in Manoa, I have a great group of mom friends with kids around the same age. I will tell you that word on the street right now is that people will not be sending their kids to Noelani School with the current system in place. They are terrified of the images and the videos that they saw, and rightly so, right? I think people have things kind of flashing in their minds. Every time it starts raining, I think we all get a little bit of like is she safe there? So I just wanted to kind of re-emphasize Amy's points there. Again, the other thing I wanted to bring up is that we can have the best solutions for stream maintenance, and things can still go awry. So I don't think we can just, going back to Amy's point again, of the systems in place that we need for raising the alarm. You can have the best stream maintenance and a car could get washed in. We could have a crazy other storm. A tree could fall. Right? Anything could happen that would then make that basically not matter. That would negate that work. And not that it's not important, but I think that having these alarm bells that aren't just the same text we've all been getting over and over and over again every day for weeks, but really an alarm bell that says, or a siren that says, hey, now is the real one. We need to act now. Get these kids to the second floor. Get yourselves off the street. We need to take action. So thank you.
Thanks, Noel. Going last to Ellen. Didn't have a last name, so I'm not sure if this is Ellen Sophia or a different Ellen, but Ellen, please go ahead. Get your hand raised.
Yeah, it's Ellen Sophia. So I just wanted to quickly say there's so much I could be saying, but my first thing I want to say is someone could easily have died. We're very lucky that, as far as I know, no one died in the 2004 flood or this one, but we need to take this very, very seriously. Even though I saw many locations and talked to people in many locations who had their houses flooded, I still was shocked when I Googled flash flood and saw a collated bunch of videos that were really terrifying, because I live just a few blocks from Woodlawn, but I wasn't out there when it actually happened, thank God, because Mānoa Road, where I do live, had become a lake, and I decided it wasn't a good idea for me to go check the bridge at that point, because water was cascading down the Mackay driveways into people's carports and filling up their backyards. And that's the same water that ended up down at Hokulani or even beyond. So what I want to say is that I saw the major tributary of Manoa Stream that is amazingly not on DLNR flood maps, that had turned into a raging river flowing directly into the forest, the rainforest, where they want to, clear cut and create 10 acres of basically impermeable cement instead of the rainforest that's there now. And so this is something we really need to be talking about, because Manoa Banyan Court's completely inadequate environmental assessment does not even acknowledge this major tributary. I went there and filmed. I want to show the film at the next neighborhood board meeting. 10 minutes after the heavy rain started, that was a raging river roaring right into that 10-acre rainforest. There's absolutely no way they should build on that forest. There's absolutely no way they should clear cut that rainforest. We're already experiencing these potentially life-threatening floods. It's only going to get worse with climate change and more of these intense precipitation incidents. Our Molokai radar wasn't even functioning. That is the main radar to oversee Oahu and Maui. So, I took a screenshot and it had been inundating Manoa with rain for an hour before we got a flash flood warning. That's not acceptable. So in my opinion, we need to have a town hall in Manoa about this flood and the one in 2004. And we need to have, the highest level of people from the various state and city agencies and all our legislators there. And we need to all put our heads together and we need to prepare for it and do investigations and get on top of this. That's what I want to say.
All right, thanks, Member Sofio. So closing out, I'll just say very briefly, I understand this was a very long discussion that we had. We didn't have any votes. It was basically just people talking and most of the board members listening. I do think it was important for us to have this open forum, just because if our board is going to do anything, then, we need to have some facts about what's going on and what people experienced that day. So for those who did come in and tell us what happened, thank you for sharing the information with us. And we're going to consult that information with whatever letter or resolution or action our board decides to do. So thanks for coming in. I'll say that right now, the only actionable item I have is the letter that Scott Snyder wrote. So Scott and I are probably going to talk between now and next meeting. That letter will likely be put on next agenda for us to vote to approve it or to send it out. I'm also going. There's been a lot going on here. We discussed a lot of things, so I'm going to watch the recording and consult my notes after meeting to see if there's any other possible ideas. And the discussion is definitely going to continue into May. So please stay posted on that. And again, Anson did put my email address into the chat. You can also find it online on the Neighborhood Commission Office website for Manoa. I'll also just say it. It's davenagai@gmail.com. Again, that's davenagai@gmail.com. If anyone has further requests or information they want to share for resolutions or letters or anything that we do, you can contact me and we can talk further. But again, this topic is going to get continued further in May, but for now, we're going to move on to the rest of our agenda. So thanks everyone for coming in, and we're going now to our elected official reports. Okay, starting with city monthly reports. Board of Water Supply, Dominic Diaz. Dominic told me he couldn't come in, so we're going to need to skip over that. We're going to Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative, Deputy Director Gavin Thornton.
Aloha, good evening, Gavin Thornton, Mayor's representative for the Manoa Neighborhood Board, Housing Policy Director at the city. Just want to express my gratitude for this and all the work that everybody's done out in the community and for your thoughtfulness and everything that you've shared. So as with the council member and others, like definitely gonna take this back, summarize it, share it with folks in the city who actually have the ability to take action on some of these things. Really appreciate it. I would encourage folks to, I heard some people mentioning 311, continue to use that to address immediate issues. I wanted to mention a website that the city and county had set up, Kona Low Recovery. And there you can find information on resources, and also report any damage to home or property. That could be helpful not only to you, but also for city, state, in terms of trying to get disaster relief. I know that I'm not intimately involved in the disaster recovery efforts, but I do know that $50, $100 million significant resources are being mobilized for recovery. My hope would be that that those resources could be mobilized in a way to address some of the proactive ideas that have been shared here tonight. So I'll definitely bring back all of those suggestions and recommendations. I don't want to take too much time. I just have a few follow-up items from the last meeting that seem pretty manini relative to the issues that we've been talking about, but I'll try to share them quickly. So there were, and that's not to discount the importance of these issues. There were issues raised last time about a few issues about parking, parking on unimproved sidewalks in particular. So at Alaula Way and Manoa Road near Waioli Kitchen and Bake Shop. Both places reporting cars parking illegally, either unimproved parking, unimproved sidewalks or on the road edge. And here are the responses from DTS. Per the revised ordinances of Honolulu, parking on unimproved sidewalks is prohibited. There was a recommendation for no parking signs there, and DTS's response was signs aren't necessary for enforcement by HPD. So TTS does not recommend installation of no parking signs in those areas. Residents are encouraged to contact HPD directly for enforcement of illegally parked vehicles. In both of those areas, DTS reported having already reached out to HPD, asking them to monitor the area for illegal parking.
Can I speak?
Please.
I appreciate you coming back to us with your information. However, a sign was not required to talk about an ordinance.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you put a speed limit sign on the highway so that people say, oh my God, it's 35 miles an hour. I better get down to 35 miles an hour, right? The sign that we were requesting was informational only so that people would know that this is not a place to park. I disagree strongly with the department's recommendation to you, and we bring it back up to you. We want signs on that area.
Yep.
Period.
I assumed that that would be your response. I just got this response earlier today. So I'm happy to
Go back
raise
to
it
them and
again.
say, this is not about,
Sure.
trying to inform people of enforcement. This is about signage,
Yep.
about, okay, informing the idiots that are going to park there.
Yes.
Can you please do that?
Sure, I'd be
Thank
happy
you.
to. Happy to.
And you know what? Our board is very active. If you want one of our board members to be there with you,
Yeah.
I think that would be highly appropriate. Talk to Dave, and Dave will select one of us to be there.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that would be helpful. Similarly, I don't think there was a suggestion about temporary no parking signs, and I don't think this addresses the point. DTS's response was homeowners and contractors may apply for street usage permits to allow for temporary parking restrictions related to construction or other activities. Permittees are required to place temporary signage 24 hours in advance to notify the public of these restrictions. So that was the response there. I think it would be valuable to make a direct connection so that that conversation can happen. So I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
That's all I have, but happy to
And I'd like to
bring other issues up.
from the discussion we just heard today, again, the big question, and the mayor is responsible for this. Do we have enough people working for facilities and maintenance? I've had problems with them myself because I'm doing a charitable thing in Chinatown. There's no electric plug to plug into anything for a power washer because guess what? It's facilities and maintenance and they don't have enough people. And then we're finding they don't have enough people for this or that or the other. Is that the issue with facilities maintenance, or are they allocating their workers incorrectly? I think that's as a businessman, I would look into that and say, okay, am I allocating my service correctly? And I think it's time for the mayor to get involved in this because there's a lot of people very upset in Manoa. And we'd like to know, can we depend upon facilities and maintenance, if they're in charge of the Manoa stream, to walk that stream? I think it's a pretty important thing right now. It's called after effect. It's a debriefing so the mayor knows what's happening. Could you ask the mayor if that's
I'd be happy
appropriate?
to. Sure.
Thank you.
All right, we're about at the halfway point in our meeting, I think. Do we have any brief comments for the mayor's representative before he goes? Laura Ruby, go ahead.
Yeah, very quickly. You know, I was at the transit stop at Punch Bowl and King, and I've been there several times this week. And it's our historic neighborhood, and with lots of things where tourists, I'm sure, walk around all the time. Everything. There are hundreds of pigeons at the transit stop, at the bus shelters, and they're sitting on the fences, and they're probably, when we're not there, sitting on all of the benches and everything. And it's probably a health problem. And it's, I hate to say, they're like flying rodents, and they can be maybe rounded up and taken to some lonely place and live out their lives that way. Thank you. I can't hear you.
Sorry.
What was the stop, the bus stop?
Punch Bowl and King. It's right by the, there's a Veterans Memorial that's right there. And there's several bus stops and benches and everything. But it's right next to Iolani Holly, right across the street from Iolani Palace, from the library, from the archives. I mean, could you expect a better and nicer historic district, but then to have hundreds of pigeons everywhere?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Thornton. Oh, sorry. I saw, Member Bussell, did you have your hand raised for Mr. Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. No, I was just going to respond to Ms. Ruby there. I urge you to look up. There's a lot of mania over pigeons. They are no more dangerous than any other bird. Having them there, you know, there's no way to round up pigeons. That's never going to happen. And an ecosystem supports what it can. Also, humans, you know, we sort of domesticated pigeons. I urge you to look into it further before going on this.
Okay. Thanks, Member Bussell, and thank you, Mr. Thornton. Sorry, I want to take the agenda a little out of order since we have Representative Garrett here, and I think he has to run soon. So, calling State Monthly Report B, Representative Andrew Takuya Garrett. Please go ahead, Representative.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Sorry, members, I logged on for the first half an hour or so, but I had to step out. So I did hear quite a bit of robust discussion about the flood, and yeah, just like many of you folks, just shocked at how sudden that was and how we didn't really have much advance warning at all. I thought the storm systems had moved on, so they kind of caught me out of the blue when parents of Noelani students were texting me Monday afternoon telling me about the flooding going on. So Councilmember Nishimoto and I went right down there. We tried to help with recovery as much as we could, and just thank goodness it didn't happen. I know Amy had mentioned this earlier, but just thank goodness it didn't happen during the lunch hour a few hours prior, because it would have been a whole different situation. Kids potentially getting swept out of the cafeteria and everything. But just want to thank everyone who reached out and stepped up over the past week with the recovery effort. You know, West Oda, of course, deserves all due accolades for the work with Be Ready Manoa. Helping, you know, I toured the district with him on Tuesday, looking at some of the homeowners were impacted around Lowry Avenue, some of the backside areas like Pamoa Road. Didn't have a chance to go see Alani Drive in that side of the valley, but I know a lot of people dealt with some serious issues, and our focus was, being at the state level, trying to get the schools back online as soon as possible. We were thinking about the University of Hawaii potentially opening up for Hokulani, but at the end, I think it was the best solution to split up the students from that school between Palolo Elementary and Aliolani, because you're not going to have any interruption with food service. Because if we did find space at UH, it would have had required a lot of more logistics in terms of food delivery and everything else. But just want to thank everyone who reached out and offered out and just showed like a true community response here. The one thing I did want to add, though, and again, I'm sorry if this was already previously discussed, but we know how these 100-year floods are happening much more frequently than that, and we need to be mindful of life and property above all else. I know we've discussed things like detention basins and flood walls around certain segments of Manoa Stream. I think it's time for us to revisit that. I know the Army Corps project is not feasible at this point, considering the price tag and where it's at. I know a lot of the focus was on the canal itself and putting up flood walls on both sides of it, but they did propose a detention basin at Manoa District Park, as well as Kanawai Park, which is right above Hokulani Elementary. Don't know if those would have, prevented this kind of damage, but I think it's something that we need to, get the engineers involved again and figure out what we can do on a limited scale. There were flood walls proposed around certain bends of Manoa Stream, like down by the faculty housing area. But again, we just need to think again about life and property and putting that above everything else, even if it may come at the expense of some recreational opportunities at the parks. So with that, I guess I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions at this point. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thanks. Do you have any brief comments or questions for the representative? I see a hand from member Sophia. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for your comments, Representative Garrett. I just want to echo the comments that of someone made earlier. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but we really need to learn from our host culture about how to manage water. And we also need to learn about how valuable it is to plant more native plants and to reforest and to create hybrid forests, not necessarily rip out everything that is non-native. There is a researcher in Hilo who's doing a lot of work with reforestation with hybrid forests of a combination of native and non-native species. So I just want to say that we shouldn't just immediately jump to the conclusion that the Army Corps of Engineers has the best solution. And people might want to read about Emma Metcalf Beckley Nakuina, Nakuina. She was the first woman judge and water commissioner of the Hawaiian Kingdom. And we can learn a lot from her. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Member Sophia, for that commentary. As part of the Army Corps study, I know a lot of us were disappointed when they just right off the top took off like an ecological option in terms of looking at it holistically, I said, in terms of natives and whatnot. So I appreciate that comment, and it is something we need to look at in terms of the health of the entire watershed.
All right, thanks. I see you raised hand from member
Thank you.
Boso, so we'll go to member Boso, and then we're gonna have to move on for time. But member Boso, please go ahead.
Very quickly, I mentioned this probably, I don't know, a year or two ago, but in regards to that, the Army Corps of Engineer and their approach, I urge everyone to read, just Google like what went wrong with the LA River, and I think it's a cautionary tale for the Army Corps' approach and sort of how it has borne out to not be the best approach. We don't want to be LA. They basically concretizing every channel of waterway possible, to try to mitigate the worst flood. And now they don't have enough water because nothing goes back to their aquifer, and they are not in as nearly of a precarious situation as we are here in Hawaii, where this is our water. We don't have any other body nearby that we can, no adjacent state that we can pump from. So, yeah, just urge anybody who's interested to read that, and that is, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Bossel. And thank you, Representative Garrett. We will see you again in May.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Garrett. Going back to city monthly reports, item C, Councilmember Scott Nishimoto's office.
Thank you, Chair. Heath Williams, Councilmember Scott Nishimoto's office. First of all, I want to echo Representative Garrett's words about the inspiring work of community members coming together after the flooding, and thank everyone for their comments here. I've been taking notes, and I will be sure to relay your concerns and suggestions on to Councilmember Nishimoto. We've been out in the community, assisting with where we can and supplementing to city services where we're able to. If anyone needs any help, just feel free to reach out to us, to our office, Councilmember Nishimoto. You can email him directly, or you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat again. Let's see. I guess in terms of updates, the council's going through the budget process, and we submitted suggested amendments prior to the flooding. Some of them did have to do with stream maintenance. It's been a drum that the council has actually been beating for quite some time. We tried to add positions last year and money for stream maintenance, specifically for District 5 last year. That I think it'd be good if the administration heard from you, because the council can put in whatever money they want for stream maintenance, but that the administration has to execute it. So it'd be good to reach out to the mayor's office and the mayor's team about these issues as well. Just know that the council, it is an active topic of discussion. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, happy to take them back to council member.
Any questions or comments for Keith? Member Watson, please go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted actually to ask Robert Fox something. Robert Fox, you had met with somebody about scheduling regular stream maintenance. Can you reiterate to us that conversation or what transpired because of that? Thank you.
I got the blue thing on, right? Okay. Ellen, I did meet with facilities and maintenance, a lower level person. We have right now, the only maintenance that we have in the stream is voluntary, and it's done once a year with Malama, Mānoa, and other groups, right? And I participated for the last 4 years in that. And it's hard work, let me tell you, as I'm getting older. But the response from facilities and maintenance was not particularly good. They sort of brushed it off like, well, we don't have enough time. And it's like, well, it's not about your time. It's about, this is something that needs to be done. Can you organize this with us? And they said, well, I'll get back to you. And that was the end of the story. The city actually did not respond very well at all. I was not a happy camper. So I'm in a mood right now where I'm going to have a personal meeting with the director of facilities and maintenance. And I want an explanation personally as to why these issues are not being addressed. Is it personnel? Is it just they don't think we're a high priority? What is it? I'd like to know on the record exactly what the problem is, Ellen.
Thanks. All right. Any last question or comment? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, one more thing I wanted to mention. Also, one of our budget requests was for sidewalks along Lowry Ave.
All right. Thank you, Heath. Any last questions or comments before we move on? All right. We'll take Noel G as our last person, then we're going to need to move on for time. Noel G, please go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I just I haven't I guess participated in many of these, so I don't know how much this has been brought up, but like I said, I have 1-year-old twin daughters, so I just wanted to touch on the sidewalks topic. Literally, there's no path from my house, which is between UH and Punahou. It's by the UH president's house. There's no path with a sidewalk to Manoa Marketplace. I cannot take my kids safely to Manoa Marketplace, which is only, a mile or a mile and a half away. And so I know Lowry Ave is obviously crucial. We also walked there the other day, and we were on the road with my twin daughters in their stroller because it was too bumpy for them on the curb, basically. But there are other thoroughfares that also need attention. I'm sure this has been brought up before, but Wahoo Ave, all the way up, there's no path that I know of from UH to Manoa Marketplace, for example. And at the four-way stop, the only way I can get my stroller off the curb to then go to the sidewalk is literally with someone else's help because there's no down ramp. And so that's been a real negative in terms of walkability. And I hope that that's something that we're addressing kind of moving forward here. Thanks.
Let Councilmember Nishimoto know about your concerns.
Sorry, hold on. Sorry, Heath can respond, and then we're moving on for time. Go ahead, Heath, if you want to respond to that.
Can let Councilmember Nishimoto know about your concerns. Yeah, there's a lot of missing sidewalks on in Honolulu. Yeah, it's a known issue.
Is there something
All
we
right.
can write? Is there something we can write in, or what's
Actually,
the
sorry, if I may, Noel, one of the items on the agenda that we're trying to get to is relates to putting sidewalks in various places in Manoa, including Lowry. So,
Okay, great.
Member Moylan has a lot to tell you about that if you let him get to it in a few minutes, I think. But anyway, I'm sorry. I know there's people who want to speak. I'm kind of rushing here, but we have about an hour and 13 minutes and a couple of resolutions plus some other stuff to get through. So we're gonna try and make up for lost time here. So I'm sorry I'm cutting people off, but we're trying to get through this whole agenda. Going to see monthly reports. Senator Carol Fukunaga's office.
Okay. Chair, members, my name is Hector Venegas. I'm here representing Senator Fukunaga. We have a newsletter that will explain some of the items that you have already heard tonight. I'm just going to give you some information for those businesses, homeowners who suffered losses. There's a resource that is called FEMA, and we urge you that you submit documents that have property damage claims to the state county agencies, your insurance providers, Hawaii DCCA, Honolulu Department of Emergency Management, and also ask the county, state, federal legislators to pass legislation to address the old infrastructure in order, the old infrastructure. We are pursuing right now a federal emergency disaster declaration for the concurrent FEMA assistance. There's a bill right now that will be addressing that. HB 2581, HD2, SD1. It is relating to emergency management. It will clarify of the events that constitute disasters or emergencies for purposes of emergency management. It also establishes the Hawaii Community Resiliency Hub program within the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency to support the development of community-based resiliency hubs across the state and leverage federal philanthropic private sector funding for disaster preparedness and climate resiliency. It will require annual reports to the legislature appropriated funds. The other one is deals with HB 2443 HD1, SD1. It is also relating to disaster services. It will integrate the need of individuals with disabilities and emergency planning, preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation activities under the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency. It also incorporates services proposed for special needs populations such as multilingual access, hard of hearing, and sign language broadcast requirements, along with development of comprehensive emergency communication plan that addresses family, kupuna, and multi-generational needs. Those are two bills that are right now, they are alive. They will be heard next week. I have provided you there's a new company in town that out of the Mānoa Innovative Center. And it is, I would like for them to come and give you a presentation because it deals with flood data for real-time decisions. It may be an instrument that we could use in the future. I would like for them to come and give you a presentation, if that's all right with you. Okay. Yes, sir.
Hi. I would really appreciate it if our senator could bring to the community a discussion about insurance. People have insurance all over the islands, right? And the insurance is written, oh, I've got flood insurance. Well, it turns out it wasn't for flood insurance for the stream. And so they were denied the claim over and over again. And I think it's high time that our government assists the residents of this state to understand what kind of insurance they actually need. Do you think that we could take that back to Carol and say, hey, can you provide a forum for us to understand the insurance and what to get?
I would be glad to do it now. On June of this year, FEMA is coming out with the new mapping for flood insurance.
However, I'm not talking about that. They're already cutting FEMA. We know that across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have dependability there. What I'm talking about is personal insurance for your house. And the way it's written is very, very
Okay.
Mr.
Fox, I do respect what you're saying. Will you please put this in writing and email it to me?
I will.
I'll give you my business card because
Thank you.
The details that you want right now.
Sorry, guys, to cut you off for time, but it sounds like you got to talk about this outside meeting, so you can email back and forth or talk to each other. And yes, did you have one more thing you want to say?
That's my.
Okay, great. And yeah, thanks for coming down. Unfortunately, we are running up on time, so I'm going to move us forward with the agenda with just, some very brief discussion, but thanks for coming in. And
The last thing, Mr. Mosley resolution on the neighborhood is still alive. His bill is still alive. It will be heard pretty soon.
all right. Thank you, Hector, and we'll hopefully hear again from you in May. Going now to University of Hawaii at Manoa report with Elmer Ka'ai. Calling in for Elmer. Is Elmer here? Elmer Ka'ai. All right, doesn't sound like he's here, and we don't see him online. So just skipping that for now and going to item D on that agenda. Governor Josh Green's representative, Lisa Goshi.
Hi, everyone. So in terms of Kona low storm response, Governor Green's administration has submitted a formal request to the president for a major disaster declaration to coordinate temporary housing for displaced families across all islands. And if approved, the declaration would unlock critical federal funding through FEMA, including assistance for debris removal, infrastructure repair, and direct help for affected residents. The administration is working closely with county mayors, state legislators, the Hawaii National Guard, and community partners to accelerate recovery. And on the ground, teams have been working around the clock, clearing roads, deploying water resources to impacted communities, and setting up mobile clinics to serve residents in need. And if anyone needs assistance, again, encouraged to call Aloha United Way at 211, or they can also visit ready.hawaii.gov, which is HAIMA's website. And there's also a dedicated webpage for Kona low storms. And governor's newsletter is available at governor.hawaii.gov. Thank you.
Thanks. Do you have a very quick question or comment for Lisa Goshi from anyone? Anyone in person? Anyone online? All right. Thanks, Lacey. We'll see you again in May. All right. Going on to community updates. Most of these are going to be pretty fast. So item B, Mānoa Banyan Court. So at the request of member Bosel, I did email Charles Wong, the president of the Niyishang Association, last month. According to Mr. Wong, who wrote back to me over email, he told me that there's no updates for the project at this time. So no updates there. Item C on community updates, Aria Lane. Do we have any updates on Aria Lane from anyone? You got to come.
It'll pick up. There was something just reported within the last couple of days from the zoning board of appeals, having a scheduling your agenda. Bottom line is the indication at the moment seems to be that the actual appeal is scheduled to be heard at the moment for May 2029. So we need to fine tune that information, but that's all stacked up on the zoning board of appeals.
Okay. Thanks, Tom Heinrich. So I see you raised hand from member Bosel. Member Bosel, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to say that regarding Mānoa Banyan Court, a lot of people spoke up earlier. I think that this is the time. I responded to Michael C., but send in any evidence that you have of the ditch, or if you were immediately below the property where that project is planned, send it to DPP. The person who used to be on the project has transferred to a different department. I mentioned this at a previous meeting, but they still have to, DPP is supposed to take in any evidence that they get for if they get an application for this project. Even though the environmental review period is over, they still have to take in this evidence in what they then recommend to the city council. So it's still worthwhile to send all that evidence over to them. Just call the planning department in general and tell them that you want to send over information regarding that. And then I don't know whether there's a further divided emails for things, but just get it into that folder, and hopefully the director herself, get her aware that you want to send something over if possible. I think it's useful.
Thanks, member Bosel. Going to member Sofio.
Yes, I just wanted to ask member Bosel or clarify, you don't know at this point, you don't have a name of anybody that we can send information to at DPP? They haven't filled that spot?
No, so it's like when Zach, the first person who had the project, passed away, they don't assign somebody new to the project until it's at the point where they need to do something for it. So there's currently, the person who had handled it last time has left. His advisor would know. I'll put his email in the and his, I'm blank, I think I want to say, Alex Beatty. He would know, but he is not officially assigned to the project, but he's at least the head of the department, I believe the planning department, in planning or zoning department. I can't remember what it's called. In there, it would be his department that gets assigned that project. It would probably be somebody underneath him who would be assigned once something gets submitted. And so then they only have like a 2-week period at that point to come up to terms with the application and all the evidence, and at least see whether it's a, complete application. And then they have, I think, 90 days, including that 2-week period, to assess it and come up with a recommendation to city council. But that person will not be assigned until the next application is put in.
How do you spell Alex's last name?
Beatty, like Warren Beatty, Beatty, or yeah, maybe it's Beatty. I don't know the proper pronunciation.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. And I think that finishes both Manoa Banyan Court and Aria Lane. So going to community update, item D, all-way flood mitigation. Is there anything new for that other than what's already been discussed earlier? All right. Going to item E, UH Eva property feasibility study. Again, that's the proper name for the place that has the UH Lab School on it. That's possibly going to get developed, maybe based on what the university is planning. So for the UH Eva property feasibility study, there's no update since last time. They still haven't put out any official announcements for what they're planning, what the project is doing. So I think they're still they've said that they're planning it and or soliciting community feedback. So no updates currently. Oh, Tom Heinrich.
One thing to add, Patrick Smith and I were, board meeting.
We can't hear you.
I can hear you. The Patrick Smith and I were at the Makalimu'ilili neighborhood board meeting on Monday evening. Elmer Kai reported on the 15-acre area that because of the consideration that's ongoing now for finding a new chancellor, again, reestablishing the chancellor position for the University of Hawaii at Manoa, that this project is going to be slowed down with a strong position that the chancellor should also have an opportunity to get up to speed and weigh in on this. So I don't expect a whole lot of things to happen on this for a while until there is a new chancellor on board, which is hoped for by September, was indicated. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Elton. And I'll just note, in case people couldn't hear Tom when he was talking about Aria Lane, the Aria Lane timeline, it looks like the appeal for Aria Lane will be held in May of 2029. So anyway, thanks for the update on the UH situation. So going on to board business, filling of vacancies. Anson, I believe there's a person who you said sent in paperwork. Jane. I'm sorry, Jane. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but Jane, I see you on Zoom. Could you introduce yourself for us?
I'm Jane Furberg. It's pronounced Furberg, and I'm a Manoa resident for most of my life. Married with 6 children, and would like very much to be a member of the board. I care very much about what's going to happen to Manoa Valley, and I would like to have anything that I could do to contribute.
And you and Anson and I talked earlier. He told me that you sent in your residence information, your ID, so you're verified. You live in Subdistrict 4, which currently has vacancies. So do we have a motion from a board member to add Jane Furberg as
I
a
will
member?
make that motion to add Jane Furberg as a member.
I second the motion.
And we apparently don't need a second. We only need one. So we got the motion made by Member Bosel. So we now need to do the roll call vote to get the 9 to add her.
Yes. Thank you.
When I call your name, please say Furberg, sorry. Zane?
Yes.
Furberg?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Watson?
Furberg?
Okay. Bozo?
Furberg.
Okay, Nagaji?
Furberg.
Okay, Fukumoto? Okay. Field? Oh, wait, he's not here. Lee?
Yes.
Berber, okay. Okay. Koff? Joanne? Chong? Chong? Okay, Moylan? Okay. Sophia?
Herberg,
Fox? Okay. Quano, if you're here. Okay. Joanne, I saw you raise your hand. Joan?
I think it's Joan. Yeah.
Oh, Joan, sorry about that. Cough? Okay, we can't hear you. Okay. Ms. Sharkey? Okay. Lisa Carter? Okay. I hear response, but she has majority. She has 9, so she is on board. I
Right.
just need to know. Just for a quick, for Jane, just repeat after me if you can. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Hawaii,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Hawaii,
the Charter and the laws of the city, county of Honolulu,
the charter and the, repeat that please,
and laws of the city, county of Honolulu,
and laws of the city and county of Honolulu,
and the provision of the neighborhood plan,
and the provision of the neighborhood plan,
and will conscientiously
and will conscientiously
and impartially discharge my duties
and impartially discharge my duties
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
as a member of the neighborhood board
as a member of the neighborhood board
to which I have been elected.
to which I've been elected.
Okay, you're all good.
Mahalo.
All right, great. Congratulations, Jane Furberg, on being our new member. And
Mahalo.
I'll also just note, I saw a message from a member, Joan Koff. She said that she was voting yes. Her audio just isn't working. Anyway, congratulations, member Furberg. Going now to item B on board business. This is the resolution urging construction of sidewalks in Manoa, which was written by member Christopher Moylan. So member Moylan, please take us through it.
This is the first of 2 pieces of work product from the Proactive Solutions Committee coming before us tonight, one we've been discussing for months. You may recall earlier reports noted that since no one's ever died on one of our streets, the priority for putting a sidewalk there is lower than all the many places where people have been hit by cars or killed. But in my meeting with city staff 5 months ago, I was also told, well, you know, there's another piece of city policy which encourages installing sidewalks on major streets and routes to schools, et cetera, like that, and we might be able to leverage that to persuade them. So the governing document is the Oahu Pedestrian Plan. And based on various clauses in the Oahu Pedestrian Plan, we've come up with the following resolution, which I can read out loud to you. Should I do that, Mr. Chair? Okay. After the initial boilerplate about the existence of our great neighborhood board, we proceed to go on to say, whereas the Oahu Pedestrian Plan, reference included, although the final version won't need that, supports installation of sidewalks along major streets and school zones. And whereas the Oahu Pedestrian Plan also supports complete streets and safe routes to schools, whereas the Manoa Valley has 3 major streets running uphill from the H1 freeway, Punahou Street, Manoa Road, University Avenue, Oahu Avenue, and East Manoa Road. And whereas installing sidewalks along each of them is a Tier 1 high priority walkway project, according to Table 10 of their document. Whereas strategy 5.1 of the plan is to provide a high level of pedestrian connectivity, and whereas the cross streets most heavily used by pedestrians connecting between those major streets do not appear on the project lists, and whereas cross street Lowry Avenue, which connects Kalawao Street to the Five Corners intersection and is a major pedestrian route to Mānoa Elementary School, has no sidewalks from Mānoa Stream to the intersection, and whereas another connecting route between major streets, Cooper Road, between Mānoa Road and Oahu Avenue, and Halilena Place, Kahawai Street, Huapala Street, between Oahu Avenue and East Mānoa Road, also has no sidewalks. And whereas the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 2021 provides 80% funding for infrastructure projects for 5 years so that projects can be subsidized in the near future. Therefore, be it resolved that the City and County of Honolulu devote more resources to sidewalk installation so that existing Tier 1 projects are carried out, and that installation of sidewalks on cross streets of Mānoa, especially Lowry Avenue, be added to the project list and funded. Be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be transmitted to every member of the City Council. So this is coming to you from the committee, therefore it amounts to a motion. Doesn't need to be seconded coming from the committee. So is there anyone who would like to offer amendments or suggestions? Whenever we're done with that, we can vote on it.
All right, sorry, just a minute to drag back the one microphone where that we're all sharing. So Member Moylan presented the motion, or not the motion, the resolution. Do we have any discussion, any suggested amendments before we vote? If so, please raise your hand. Not seeing any raised hands in person. Oh, so
No, anyone.
yeah, so I'm gonna call Member Watson on the Zoom and then we'll call on you. Member Watson, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'll bring up what I brought up last month, which I guess the committee didn't consider when they thought about drafting this resolution. But on Lowry Street, it makes sense because it's a busy street to have a sidewalk on one side, on the park side, but not on both sides of the street, because you will have to cut down a lot of big trees to facilitate that sidewalk on the other side. So I think it's sufficient if a sidewalk is on the park side only, and that the homeowners do not have to pay a portion of the bill. So if Mr. Moylan, you're saying that there's this federal money that will pay for it, that could be subsidized, it has to be subsidized. I mean, that the balance has to be paid by, not by the homeowners. We're not going to burden homeowners to facilitate a sidewalk there. And so the motion needs to be asking for that. I think if it's a motion that this board is going to support, because the way you have it is very broad and vague. And I think that we don't need sidewalks along Oahu Avenue and the other streets that you mentioned in there. It's wide grassy areas. It's a permeable surface. And a lot of people walk along there and walk their dogs along there and everything. And they don't necessarily even want sidewalks. We haven't heard from people that live there. And so I just think that your motion is too broad and vague and needs to go back to the drawing board and tighten it up if this board's going to support it.
So calling on, sorry, could you state your name for us again?
Hi, aloha again, everyone. My name is Tia Marie Namahana Masaniai Estrera, for the record. I think this issue ties back to what we were talking about with the flooding, where the person who gave the suggestion of planting more native plants and also making, I don't know the word she used, but I understood it as like less concrete. So I think this resolution is in direct conflict with having less concrete in Mānoa. Also, the organization I work for has an office out of 2426 Oahu Ave. And like Auntie just shared, there's wide areas of grass and walkable streets. I think if you're prioritizing things like walkability and convenience over what the land and the water of the area that you move to or you live in now needs, that's two conflicting priorities. I think from my statements tonight, it's very clear what I personally think should be prioritized, which is the overall well-being of the land and the water that does affect the health of the people. And I don't think more concrete or more sidewalks in a very walkable neighborhood like Mānoa is needed. Also, just highlighting that a lot of folks have the option to drive and have access to vehicles, bikes, whatever, scooters. Yeah, that it's not like a do or die situation. So yeah, thank you.
Very open. So I'm gonna call on Mayor Sofio, then Member Bosel, and then I'll go back to Member Moylan. Sofio, Bosel, Fukumoto, Moylan. Member Sofio, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So I didn't prepare in advance as much as I would have liked to because I've been distracted since the flood. But first, I just want to echo what some other people already brought up, that it seems ironic that it doesn't seem to make any sense that we would be passing a resolution to increase the impermeable surfaces in Mānoa right after this flood, when we witnessed how concrete and asphalt surfaces turn into rivers. And I pulled up a few AI statistics. Apparently every 1% increase in impervious cover boosts annual flood frequency by roughly 3.3%. A single acre of impermeable surface can generate 27,150 gallons of runoff from just 1 inch of rain. The speed of and intensity of floods increases over cement and asphalt. So it creates a higher intensity and more dangerous floods, and higher flows into drains, increases flows into the streams and things like the Woodlawn Ditch, increasing erosion and carrying more pollutants and sediment. So it seemed, for all those reasons, and just because, like probably most
Sorry,
people who live in
Member
Manila,
Sofio.
we need green. And the other thing is,
Sorry, I gotta cut you off for time, but thanks, but we gotta move on for time. So
okay, can
going
I
on
just make
member.
one other real quick
No,
point?
we gotta move on. Member, we have
All right.
less than 45
Thank
minutes
you.
left, and we still have a bunch of stuff here. So, Member Boso, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to say, I agree with what Member Watson had said earlier about, not touching any of the trees on the Mackay side of Lowry. I think that at a minimum would have to be added into this in order for me to feel comfortable moving forward. But also I agree with, again, the point that I made earlier about impermeable surfaces. I would ask maybe that we start by reaching out to, if there's anybody who lives on Lowry who is on this meeting now, or if you know people who do and you walk on that street often, to reach out to the folks who are there and ask them to trim the grass low in the area that folks walk along. Normally I'm a big fan, actually. There's a very big difference between keeping your grass a little bit longer for keeping temperatures down, for climate, or like an ecosystem for bugs. Folks should do their research, but in this sort of instance, I do think that would be a nice, medium point where if the grass is trimmed low, then there's really not much need for concretizing this space and making it into, a proper sidewalk. And so people should get to know their neighbors, reach out or offer to trim your neighbors, that area that the sidewalk space is in. So I don't live on Lowry, but I encourage anybody who is there to do this sort of, happy medium, mitigating measures that could help make it a more walkable space for people.
Member Fukumoto.
Thank you. I've decided not to say anything.
Before I turn it over to Member Wayland, I'm just going to note, yeah, one second, sorry. I just want to note to one of Member Watson's comments about people living in the area needing to pay for it. So previously, about a year ago, I think, Heath from Councilman Nishimoto's office explained that the people living in the area only need to pay for it if it's a special improvement district. And the way it's been written in in Member Moylan's resolution is not calling for a special improvement district. So I don't think that will be a problem based on the way it's been written. Turning it over to Member Moylan, then Member Chong. What, you want her to go first? Okay, Member Chong, you can go next. Member Chong, unmute or press the space bar if you can. We can't hear you. Okay, she has her hand raised, but we can't hear her. So, Member Moylan, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yes, there's no need to worry about the idea that the neighbors would have to pay. That, as Keith explained to us, would require the neighbors would all have to get together and decide if they wanted to put a sidewalk in where the city didn't even think it should go. That doesn't have anything to do with this resolution. As far as specifying that it should only be on one side of the road, that's not a problem. I mean, we could certainly add that, although I don't think there's any reason why they would ever do it on both sides of the road if they didn't have to. But should that make anyone more comfortable, we're certainly fine with that. With regard to the impermeability concept, the amount of impermeability created by a sidewalk is negligible. And the city policy itself clearly states that this is about safety for people. This is a safety argument. That's why the city has this whole program. And it wouldn't be very much consolation to the parents of some kid at the elementary school if they got hit trying to cross along the grass path. And we could say, well, at least the grass was more permeable. I don't think that would fly with anyone. The safety of people is the top priority, As per the existing city policy, we're not making up any policy here or suggesting that the policy should be any different from what it is. We're saying the city has said we should make it easier for pedestrians to walk and that so that they don't all drive as much as they otherwise would, and that we should make it easier for them to connect, that pathways that go where people want to go are safer to walk. What this resolution says is, okay, fine, consider the cross streets as well as the main ones and step up the funding, especially this year when you can get it 80% subsidized by the federal government. That's what this resolution is about. If someone wants us to put in only do it on one side of the road, that's not a problem. I think that was kind of assumed when we discussed they would only be on one side of the road. If someone wants us to put in minimize or eliminate, don't do it without cutting down any trees, that's not a problem either. We could certainly do that. It's about places where it's just asphalt already or just grass, putting in sidewalks so it's safer to people to go as pedestrians so that they don't have to drive.
It's not safer.
Sorry, you have some. Okay, so is there anyone who wants to make a motion to add an amendment to the be it resolved paragraph, adding a clause specifying to do the sidewalk on one side of the street and without cutting down any trees? Is there a motion for that amendment? Member Fox makes the motion. Do we need a second? Yes. Do we have a second for that amendment? Again, the amendment would be to add. Member Bostill, did you make a second?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is just on the amendment, not the resolution as a whole, just as the amendment on the amendment to add a clause saying have the sidewalk without cutting down any trees and on only one side of the street. Is there any objection to that amendment? If there's an objection, raise your hand. If there's no objections, then please put your hands down. Okay, you know what? Just because we're running up on time, I'm just going to call for the roll call vote. So the roll call vote is on the amendment, not the resolution itself. It's on the amendment. So Anson, do the roll call, please.
When I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain.
I don't even know what you just said, Nagaji.
So we're trying to make an amendment to the resolution, and the amendment would specify that the sidewalk is to be on one side of the street only and to be made without cutting down any trees. That's what we're voting on, that amendment.
Right, and can we add to that amendment that we're only talking about Lowry Street? We're not talking about Oahu and University Avenue and whatever else was in that resolution? Because I think that's really wide and grassy and people walk there, and I don't think you need a sidewalk there. I think no sidewalk there at all.
Chair Nagaji.
So to Member Watson asked about putting additional stuff into the amendment, like specifying only Lowry, etc. Member Moylan said no. So because Member Moylan, the maker of the objection, said no, we're running up on time here. So just to reiterate, all the amendment would do is to specify in the be it resolved, only put the sidewalks on one side of Lowry Street for that street specifically, and put in any of these sidewalks without cutting down any trees. That's the amendment. Anson, please do a roll call vote on that amendment.
Okay, when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain. Zane?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, Watson?
Aye.
Okay, Bozo?
Yes.
Nagaji?
Yes.
Fukumoto? Okay, Lee?
Yes.
Koff? Koff? Okay, Chong? Aye, okay. Moylan? Yes. Yes, okay. Sophia?
Abstain.
Fox? Yes, okay. Masharki? Yeah, he's on the. He's not responding then. Okay. Okay, and I think Lisa Carr also left. Okay. That's 9. So it's good.
All right. So noting the time, noting that poor Patrick Smith has been kept waiting for the past 2.5 hours, we'll get to you next. No, just because you're here. Anyway, the point is because we're running up on time, we've already discussed the original motion. It doesnn't sound like Member Moylan wants to entertain any further amendments. So at this point, I'm just going to close discussion. We're going to vote on the resolution. It's the original plus the amendment we just made to specify only on one side of Lowry, the sidewalks, and without cutting down any trees. So that's what the resolution currently says. Anson, please do a roll call vote.
Okay. So when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain regarding the resolution with the amendments. Okay. Zane?
Aye.
Okay. Watson?
No.
Okay. Bozo?
Aye.
Nagaji?
Aye.
Fukumoto? Field? Oh, wait, he's not here. Koff? Lee?
Oh, wait, hold on. She is.
Aye.
Okay. Chong? Moylan? Okay. Sophia?
No.
Fox? Masharki? Okay. Freiberg? Sorry. Can you repeat that again? Abstain?
So, sorry, Member Ferberg, we're asking you, how you vote on the resolution.
That was an aye.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. We didn't hear
Oh,
you
no, she
clearly.
says an aye. Yep. Okay, that's 9. And the resolution is adopted. Yep.
All right. Thank you. So the resolution is adopted. I'll make those amendments and send it to Anson for distribution. Because Patrick Smith is here, he came in to give us a presentation. I'm going to skip over the other resolution for now and do item D. This is the report on behalf of the Neighborhood Commission from Patrick Smith and the Neighborhood Commission.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. As the chair pointed out, I'm Patrick Smith. I chair the Neighborhood Commission, which is the board, the body that sort of makes policy for all the neighborhood boards. And the NCO, of course, is the operations side of it. They do their own thing. We don't actually manage them, but we work in tandem to facilitate anything that's needed for the board. So what I'm here tonight is just to kind of introduce myself and say that we're here to help the boards, and I'll try to be very brief because I know you have a lot going on. But I do want to tell you that one of our big duties is overseeing the neighborhood plan. And that's actually what part of that entails. And takes up a lot of our time, our adjudicatory matters where we have complaints against members. And we felt that against members and boards, and we felt that the present process is a little cumbersome. It doesn't give us flexibility to address a lot of situations which could be addressed more efficiently in different ways. So we have rewritten that. Tom Heinrich has been kind enough to put a lot of, or give us a lot of assistance in that. And the plan, that part of the plan is Chapter 18 of the neighborhood plan. It's about ready to go. Just because all the board members are subject to that, please, if you want, go take a look at it. I did a lot of I kept the document myself and made a lot of the edits. So if anybody has any questions, please ask me. I'll be happy to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to discuss any of the questions that you might have. And my contact information is found on the NCO website. It has both my email address and my phone number. With that is we're also reviewing the neighborhood plan itself. And coming up is Chapter 14, which is all the procedures that the boards have to follow. And it includes all those things like having to have a treasurer and things like that. And that's one of those maybe antiquated things that we're considering getting rid of. Right now it is required. I mean, you have to have one. So, and there are a lot of little things. Now, a lot of that is controlled by the Sunshine Law that we can't change. But if you have any suggestions, let us know. This is the time. And we'll be happy to entertain that. Finally, there is a note about geographical boundaries and such. I don't know if that's a real issue with Mānoa, but that is something that we're asking the boards. We really wanted a decision kind of by the end of April. I know that's tough because this is the April meeting. But if you do have any thoughts there, any particular concerns, and you feel like another part of the community that's not in your neighborhood that would be better represented by being in Mānoa, let us know. And that's something that we can look at and and help you. So finally, I would just say there are little things that we can do, like we have brochures. We just finished, the NCO just finished making new brochures. So if you do any outside activities and you want information about the boards in general, just ask Anson. I'm sure he can get you those. We can facilitate. Well, this is mainly the NCO, but we can facilitate your getting together with other boards. Like if you want to do a town hall, say you want to do a town hall, you want to invite the council member, you want to invite the mayor. The mayor doesn't typically come to the neighborhood boards. He did go to Wailua's last week, and it was quite an interesting, or North Shore, I'm sorry. It was quite an interesting event. But if you want help with those things, that are sort of outside the typical board meeting where you can focus on just the flooding concerns, we can help you facilitate that. So that's really all I have to say. Please reach out to us if you have anything that we can help you with. And thank you very much for your time.
Member Fox?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I can't speak with that way over there. I would like to add on something to the neighborhood boards. and that's something called a Council of Neighborhood Organizations. I was executive director of that organization in Long Beach, California. We had 127 neighborhoods, and we also had the council. And the reason was sometimes there are citywide issues, like in zoning, for instance, or land use. And we need to get the comprehensive opinion of all the neighborhoods. And without an organization to do that, or a methodology is what I'm asking you for, that we can reach out to the various neighborhood associations throughout the island, because we did that once in a redistricting problem with Congress, whatever, you know.
Right.
But I think that's a really good addition to the neighborhood board system, having an overall council, and the only people who get to come are the presidents or the vice presidents of the boards.
Well, that's something we can certainly consider. I will say, unfortunately, there
Don't
is
say
the
interesting,
charter
'cause
project. Well, the charter process is sort of going, so we have to
I think
operate
this is very
inside.
important. This is the
Oh,
first
no,
time
it
it's
sounds like a
stopped.
great idea.
It has been used before
Yeah.
here, and let's just systemize it into the system. That's all I'm asking you to
Okay.
do.
Well, and that's something we're certainly think about. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great suggestion.
To see whether each of these offices is really needed. Most boards that have a secretary, for example, the secretary takes the minutes. Since city staff takes our minutes, there's no need for our board to have a secretary. But with regard to the treasurer that you invoked, if we got a budget, then it would make sense to have a treasurer. So I'd suggest an option for you: either get rid of the treasurer requirement or give us a budget. Either one of those should work.
Take too much time, but I will say very quickly, you do have the option of adding any officers that you wish. So I think our philosophy is to probably trim it down a little bit and then allow the boards to, which they already have the flexibility to add officers that they need.
What about giving us a budget?
Yeah, as far as the money, now that would come from the
Yeah,
NCO.
but you have
The commission doesn't, well, yeah, and we can ask. And actually, they did allocate money one time for promotion materials. But that money was managed by the NCO. In other words, you would come to them and say, hey, we want to, I mean, if you want a banner now, they were already do it. But if they want
reach out to the
t-shirts.
valley and say, hey, please come to our neighborhood board meeting. We have something really important to discuss. We don't have the money to do it. And so only volunteers like myself will go out there and hand out flyers all over the neighborhood trying to get people to come.
I would say if you have a specific request there, is make that and reach out to us. We're certainly advocate for that. Now it has to fit in the NCO budget. So
and add to that, that's the reason.
Well, we would love to, but you have to talk to the mayor and
I'll be glad to talk to the mayor. Set up a meeting and I'll be there in a minute.
Okay, but yeah, we'd be very happy to facilitate. So if you have really specific ideas like, hey, we'd like money to go do this promotional activity, reach out to us and let us know. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any final questions before Patrick Smith? You're just going once, going twice, real quick. All right, thank you, Patrick. Thanks for sticking with us till almost the end. Going now back to item C on board business, resolution requesting the undergrounding of utilities on University Avenue between the United Methodist Campus Ministry and East Manoa Road, and this is mine. So I need to pass the gavel to Vice Chair Moylan.
Oh, I should just stay here. You need to read it. This is the other piece of work product coming out of the committee. And since the task of writing it up was for Nagaji, he'll read what he came up with.
So this idea was originally member DeMarco's idea. He left the neighborhood and left the board, so I kind of inherited it. And as the resolution title says, it's about underground utilities on the University Avenue area between the United Methodist Church and where University meets East Manoa Road. So here's the full text of the resolution. Whereas forceful winds, such as during storm events within the state, have caused damage to overhead utilities on Oahu in the form of collapsed poles and broken cables. And whereas above ground utility poles can also collapse or suffer major damage from vehicular collisions, such as those caused by drivers who are intoxicated or otherwise impaired. And whereas overhead utilities which collapse or suffer other structural damage can block lanes of traffic or entire roads, limiting effective road usage. And whereas damaged overhead utilities can lead to residential power outages until that damage is fixed. And whereas depending upon weather conditions and environmental surroundings, a downed power line can become a fire hazard. And whereas University Avenue has 24 above ground utility poles between Maile Way and East Manoa Road, and whereas whereas University Avenue is a major road providing access to Manoa Valley, including for emergency response vehicles. And whereas the underground utility infrastructure on University Avenue currently stops at the United Methodist Campus Ministry, such that new underground infrastructure, which continues further into Manoa, would most logically connect with the underground infrastructure that currently terminates at the United Methodist Campus Ministry. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Manoa Neighborhood Board Number 7 requests the undergrounding of utility poles on the portion of University Avenue between the United Methodist Campus Ministry and East Manoa Road to improve public safety and environmental resiliency. Be it finally resolved that copies of this resolution be transmitted to the mayor, the city council, fire chief, deputy fire chief, Department of Transportation Services director, deputy director of that same department, the governor, all the legislature members, director of transportation for the state, and deputy director of transportation for the state. So that's the resolution. I'll make the motion to approve it. Do we have a second? Member Fox seconds.
Here's a friendly amendment for you, Dave. In addition to that little piece about the Infrastructure Act, pointing out that there's a subsidy there, when we discussed this in committee last year, I don't know if you remember, but as in all other places, usually the electric utility will subsidize undergrounding because they don't like to have to repair that stuff either. And I forget the details, but I think if we threw in one little clause saying, and that the city, should take advantage of all subsidies that are possible, including the Infrastructure Act and including, we'd have to look up that thing again. There is a whole thing on the city website about if you want undergrounding utilities, and HECO will help subsidize it. So if we point in the subsidy, that makes your resolution stronger.
Okay.
Is that something you would accept
That's
as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I accept the clause to the first be resolved paragraph saying that.
Yeah, you just have to pull up the city website. Okay. Are there any other amendments to this resolution? Okay, it looks like Member Sofio has one. You're muted.
I don't have an amendment. What I want to say is that I find it, after this most recent resolution that was passed about the sidewalks, I really feel like we are on a runaway train here because of Chris Moylan's committee, where these resolutions that have huge potential, huge implications for
Member
the
Sofio,
community.
do not
No,
make
wait, I
personal
just
attacks
want to
on
know,
Chris
please,
Moylan.
Chair,
But
please let me make my
you can
point,
say it, but still
okay?
make it personal.
This is not, no, I'm just saying the proactive committee is a runaway train. And, the rest of us, it should not be deciding, the agenda for the entire board, and it shouldn't be precluding sufficient discussion on issues that it decides are important, the board has not even weighed in on. So I think this is very dangerous. These are complicated issues. And by the way, sidewalks do not make people safer, especially not older people. Falling on a sidewalk is way more dangerous than falling on grass, even if you're more likely to fall. So there are a lot of assumptions that are being made about that. And the same thing applies with this undergrounding of utilities. We don't know anything about what's involved in undergrounding utilities. How many trees are going to have to be removed because they're killed because their roots are damaged? I mean, we need to talk about these things. not just ramrod them through.
Nothing's being ramrodded through. And the city already has existing documentation on that. Those who've taken the trouble to read it understand about undergrounding of utilities. Okay, it's another safety issue that the city is behind. The next one, who had the hand up? But wasn't there another member? Yeah, Member Koff. She lowered her hand. So now we have a member of the public. Oh, no, Member Fox? Oh, I'm sorry, Al. Should have a karaoke mic.
This is weird. Okay. Just to clarify for our other board members, undergrounding utilities does not necessarily mean a sidewalk. For 34 years, I lived and served in the city of Long Beach, California, and we did undergrounding of utilities with grass on top. Had nothing to do with sidewalks whatsoever. We wanted to do it in the parks particularly. So we undergrounded all of the telephone poles, all of the electric wires, all of the cable infrastructure for the neighborhood adjacent to those parks, and no sidewalks were built. They were all made underground, so the grass was on top of them. So that sort of solves your permeable soil issue. Besides which, the undergrounding of utilities in our resolution here doesn't say to the city that they have to do A, B, C, and D. It's saying they'll do best practices. That's the job of the city. And if they, certainly they're not going to put a sidewalk in something if they don't have to, because it's more money, you know? So the city's always going to take the cheapest way out of anything. So I think we're pretty, I can't control the city. They'll do the final determination of how this is done. What we're asking for is, wouldn't it be a great idea? Because honestly, Lahaina burned to the ground because of 63 telephone poles that fell. And it may be HECO's problem that they didn't turn off the juice. But honestly, could you think that it's going to be safer for Manoa to have telephone poles? Because the wind I just suffered from today was 40 miles an hour wind right on University Avenue. So I'm thinking this is more for safety for our people. That's what the resolution is about.
Thank you. I'm all in favor of undergrounding utilities. That is the ultimate solution. However, I think it's in the wrong place. I'd like these utilities undergrounded in the back of the valley, because number one, that's where the wind is strongest. The wind comes over the mountain, and we've had actually a pole on Manoa Road come down. So that's number one. Number two, a down power line that could spark something in the back of the valley means that with the prevailing winds, the fire would go out of the valley and burn a lot of Manoa Valley that way if the winds were strong enough. So in terms of the effect on the valley itself, again, if you're in the back of the valley, that would be more destructive for Manoa itself. And the third thing is that if the fire is in the back of the valley and the siren goes off, you're going to have gridlock. You're going to have Lahaina again, because people are going to be clogging the streets. You're going to have people abandoning their vehicles and fleeing on foot. So the actual best place to put this resolution belongs in undergrounding in the back of the valley, not in the front part of the valley. So I'll be voting against this one. Thank you.
We'll let Dave go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you. I live in the Woodlawn Terrace Place area. I've been there since 2000. I'm sorry, Sharon. My Sharon Omizo. I lived in the back. Live in the Woodlawn Terrace Place area since 2000. We have all underground utilities, and part of the problem, and I've seen it happen when Spectrum was out to make some adjustments or whatever, as there was light rain coming down from the mountains, the box in the ground, when he opened up the cover, was filling up with water. So that is something to take into consideration with these underground utilities. Go up to Woodlawn Terrace Place sometime, and when it's raining, and you'll see what happens. And the other thing is, I think if people remember with this recent electrical outage, some people did not have their electricity restored because HECO could not get to those power lines underground.
Thank you, Member Bozel.
Member Bosel, member Acting Chair Moylan called you.
I'm sorry. Okay, well, it's just one comment that actually having above ground utilities causes trees to constantly be trimmed, and unfortunately, almost always it's bad practices and they over trim or improperly trim, and so that causes a lot of death of trees. So, you know, it's sort of 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other in terms of which is going to cause more damage. Yeah, I don't know, something to consider.
Yes, I'd like to echo what Member Bozel said and also what Member Fox said, which I should have thought about more. In the town I used to live, there were these overhead wires that ran through all these trees, and the city came in and chopped all the trees down to leave the wires behind. And I thought that was exactly backwards. We need all the trees there. But Member Fox's point, I wish I thought of it earlier. The Lahaina fire was caused by power lines that broke and started a fire. If those things were underground, Lahaina would be standing today and 100 people would still be alive who are dead now. Undergrounding of utilities is critical for safety. And to say that we would want it in one part of the community doesn't mean we couldn't also want it in another part of the community. It's not like only one place in the neighborhood could ever get undergrounded. You know, from a safety point of view, you want it everywhere you can. I remember in Sunnyvale, our city manager didn't even want to pay our half of the subsidized cost of doing it until a power line came down in a guy's house and his house burned to the ground. Then all of a sudden you wake up and you go, it's not just an aesthetic issue, it's a serious safety issue. All right. What? Okay. Is that 2 new comments from members I'm seeing up there? Right. Let's let Mr. Member Fox talk. We should really try to.
I respect your opinion, Elton. And it would be ideal if we could do the undergrounding of utilities in the back of the valley. I totally agree. Our proposal was sort of like a pilot project. How do we get the city to think about undergrounding utilities in the valley of Mānoa? Since the underground utilities are already done to the Methodist Church on University Avenue, it seemed like the easiest thing for them to do. And of course, cities like to do the easiest thing. And we get that as a pilot project for Mānoa, and everybody likes it, and everybody thinks it's good, and we continue the project into the rest of the valley. So our vision was more of a pilot project thing. Does that make sense?
Well, if that's the rationale, that should be in the resolution so that we know, but it's not, so.
Friendly amendment?
Make an amendment that this is a pilot project.
That it will be, that this would be in the friendly amendment, that there will be a included as a clause in the be it resolved, in the first be it resolved paragraph, sorry. Amend it to include it in the first be it resolved paragraph that this should be viewed as a pilot project for future undergrounding of utilities in Mānoa. Is that? I'll accept that as friendly amendment. Okay.
Okay. Did you see which of those 2 went up first?
No. In the interest of time, I'm just going to waive my comments, Chair.
Okay, Member Sophia, go ahead.
Yes, I grew up on University Avenue, and so it's easy for me to visualize this. And I'm worried about the logistics because this is one of only, I guess, 3 major arteries in and out of the valley. And it sounds almost like it's going to be as bad as a widening and could even lead to further pressure to widen University Avenue. And what happens, you know, while you're digging up the whole street, you know, and have to basically shut it down when, you know, the traffic is already overwhelming at rush hour on University Avenue, both in the morning and in the evening. So I don't see how this is logistically possible to underground the utilities any more than it's feasible to widen University Avenue, even if we wanted to, which we shouldn't want to.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that's what I want to say.
Yeah,
Thank you.
widening the street is not part of the resolution. Member Bozel.
I understand that the impacts will be similar.
Let Member Bozel have the floor, please.
I just wanted to share very quickly that generally the outdoor circle is a large proponent of undergrounding as many utilities as possible because it has been shown to basically positively impact the trees and the visual landscape that we all share here. So just thought I'd share that little factoid for you folks.
Thank you. And now here you go, Dave.
I'm just going to make a very quick comment because most of what I've said was already said by others. I just want to make it very clear to Member Sophia was concerned that I don't view this as in any way relating to widening university. I would probably be against widening university. This is just about underground utilities, and if a future resolution from a different person involves widening university, I would be against that. So this is totally separate.
Okay, call for the vote then, I guess.
Okay. When I call your name, please say yes or abstain regarding the resolution with the friendly amendments.
Yes.
Okay. Zane,
Aye.
Watson, Ellen, Watson. Okay, we'll just guess it. Bozo,
Aye.
Nagaji,
Aye.
Fukumoto. Okay. Lee, Lee,
Aye.
Cough. Yes. Okay. Chong. Okay. Yes. Okay. Moylan.
Yes.
Okay. Sophia.
No.
Okay. Fox. Yes. Okay. Ms. Sharkey.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. And Jane.
Abstain.
Okay. Watson, are you still there? Did she leave? Okay, I think she left. Okay, that is 10 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstain. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anson. So taking the gavel back from Vice Chair Moylan, we have 2 minutes left before our hard stop. So I understand there's some stuff Robert Fox, Member Fox, wanted to talk about. You can reach out to him outside meeting. He can brief you on it. There's some legislation he's been tracking. We're going to pass the minutes and pass the Proactive Solution Committee report in the interest of time. We're also going to pass community concerns. Next meeting is going to be Wednesday, May 6, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in person at Noelani Elementary School cafeteria, assuming it's available at that point. Hopefully it is. The agenda for next meeting is probably going to involve a lot relating to the flooding situation, flooding mitigation as a continuation of the first half of today's meeting. You can watch our neighborhood board meetings on Olelo channel 49 or on YouTube using the links that are provided on the agenda. Do we have any last minute, less than 30-second announcements from anyone? All right, seeing and hearing none, thanks for sitting through this marathon meeting with us. We are adjourned.